Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Eastern Lariat podcast, your show for news, notes, reviews, and opinions on the world of Japanese pro wrestling here on cagematch.net. I'm your host, STRIGGA, and I'm as always joined by Dylan. And of course, especially this week, but really in every episode, Dylan, this is also a Ken appreciation show. So we talked off air about Ken's situation, and you received a lot of love from within our community. So I'm just want to take this opportunity to say that I'm deeply rooting for Ken. I'm hoping that everything is going to be all right for him.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for that, STRIGGA. It's great to be back on, as always. And what you said was so accurate. I wanted to say thank you to everybody out there who sent some very nice words and warm wishes Ken's way. I will say and confirm that I have shown him this as well, that we got so many people.
Good.
So many people all over the world and so many outlandish places compared to Tennessee, where we're at as well. So many great places all over the world. You know, really appreciate all of you guys. And, you know, the fans and the Eastern Lariat family have come through multiple times in the past. And as I always expect them and know they will, and they are doing it once again. Right now, I really encourage everybody to think good vibes and good thoughts Ken's way. I need a piece of your hearts right now. For this is what we need most. Ken, you know, he's my great grandpa. He is a fan of wrestling through and through, has been since his childhood days. He's always bragged about how he went to Dick the Bruiser's Steakhouse before to me, but somehow, because I'm me and we ended up spending so much time together, he also got into Japanese wrestling as well. Even one of the shows we're probably going to talk about, we watched before he had to go to the hospital recently. But yeah, he was diagnosed with lung cancer recently, and we're doing everything we can to get that worked out and getting that treated to the best we can. Obviously, a serious situation for sure, but as I told you off the air, I will want to put this out publicly as well, because obviously when you make that statement, it's very dire. But as long as the doctor gave us a chance and gave us hope, that's what I'm clinging on to. So I don't want to be on here too negative or sad or anything like that, because Ken's still here. We're getting treated. He's watching this stuff with me, watching sports with us as well. Although, like I said, sometimes watching the Memphis Grizzlies right now is not a very helpful thing to do for anyone, regardless of your health situation. I would say with how the season has just totally collapsed, very, very brutally for the Grizzlies. But Ken's still at it. He's still hanging in there, and hopefully one day we can get it all sorted out. I'd love to do something with him, just a recording, so he knows everybody, and you guys know that he did get those words, and that did touch his heart as well. So thank you guys so much, and thank you as well, STRIGGA, for that very much so.
Yeah, man, I'm just like I said, I'm just hoping everything is going to be all right. I know how much of a wrestling fan Ken is, and his reactions are always so authentic when you talk about them, when you tell me how he reacted to whatever is going on in wrestling. So also for him, but for this show as well, Dylan, to quote a great mind of pro wrestling who recently diversified his portfolio, the word of the day, Dylan, is authenticity. And we're going to talk about authenticity quite a bit, I guess, when we talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling here. That is going to be the first topic that we address. New Japan Pro Wrestling had a couple of shows in the last week, which started with a Korakuen Hall show that saw two junior title matches, one for the singles and one for the tag team championship. In the tag team division, the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles, defended their title against Robbie X and Taiji Ishimori in 1740, 8.24 on cage match. And in the main event, actually, El Desperado defeated Clark Connors to defend his championship, which is rated at 7.85. And I don't know about you, I would actually swap those ratings, because I thought that the main event was much better than the junior heavyweight tag team title match. Although it was a long match, I thought that they used the time really well, were really creative with their spots. They worked around different foreign objects, worked with the entire Korakuen Hall setting, actually. There was this crazy spear into the barbed wire chair from Clark Connors that split him open. They Desperado leaning into these hardcore matches really brings out the best side of him. So I really thought it was a great main event, and better than the tag title match, actually.
I do agree with you for sure that I like the main event better than the tag match. The tag match to me has a similar problem to a match we just saw last night, the American show. Different stylistically, obviously, but I thought they had a similar issue to Ishii and Gabe. In that, in that they really had, like, you have all of these moving parts. I think it's even worse in this case than that one, because you have these four guys, and like Eagles and Fujita are just, I really love them. I think Eagles might be the best worker, like purely in ring, like his fundamentals, how he executes things, and his moveset. He might be my favorite wrestler to watch in a lot of ways in New Japan. Fujita's talent. Robbie X and modern day Ishimori weren't exactly lighting my heart on fire heading into this match. I will say that. But I thought they did fine. I just think that the problem is that they really were like, they didn't want to color outside the lines any in this match. It was like the junior version of that Ishii and Kid match where it's like, okay, we're going to do this very fundamental, basic junior tag match. Like we're not going to like tell a real story. It's just going to be one guy does moves, then another guy tags in and does moves, and it's all good. Like it's fine, but it's nothing that really grabs you. So I didn't hate that match, but I definitely don't think it's an 8 out of 10. It's more like a 6 to me.
I agree with that. Yes,
which is a fine match, but not special.
Yes.
The main event, I definitely think was the better of the match. The better two matches, I will say that. I thought that the thing with Connors to me, and it's kind of a thing, and we talked about this earlier on, and again, I'm going to make another comparison this time to a match that happened months ago. But a big problem I had with the Kid and Omega match from earlier this year was how much that they decided they would do something like really exciting and great. And same thing with Despy and Clark here. They would do something really exciting and then suddenly like just squash all that and slow it down and stop it. And like to stall for more time. I'm cool with like long matches. Like I've been a long time defenders of that. But I just don't like the way these kind of matches are formatted where they get here to this long point by just suddenly stopping and going really slow during the middle of it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Overall. But, I mean, they had extreme spots and all that, the hardcore stuff. It was a good main event, I would say, overall. And I thought it was, like, it is a modern marvel to do a 38-minute match. Especially one with somebody like Connors, who's not a really like a main event guy. Like even in the junior division, he's not really been a main player. But so I thought it was a brave idea. I just don't think they executed it that well. But overall, I would say it was fine. Like a good main event, and they deserve credit for drawing a good number there as well.
Yes, 1,490 on a Friday in Korakuen was a good draw, especially with a big show in the same city on the next day. So.
Yeah, and I thought the crowd was into it well enough. They tried to do that, obviously, with the crowd brawling that they implemented a lot in this match. But I will say this. Another kind of deal here. It's nothing against this match on its own, because, again, I thought it was fine. But if you compare this match, it's obviously different, in different ways. But if you compare this match with Despy and Connors to the match that Despy had on the Barb show.
Oh, that was so, yes.
Yeah, like that match like blew this one away to me.
And that is why I mentioned the word, Dylan, authenticity.
Yeah.
You just can't buy authenticity, and you just can't create it from scratch. It's there or it's not.
True.
And with the Barb show, it definitely was there. That was a fantastic main event. I loved it so much.
Yeah, that was an excellent match, for sure. And I think, like, if they could have gotten more closer to what they did, and I mean, it's hard because you're talking about Jun Kasai, a legend,
Mm-hmm.
and Takeda, who's like a fantastic wrestler. So like you didn't really have that with Connors, but I just thought that they were not able to do that match, and that match really kept things moving. That wasn't a short match. I mean, it was like 10 minutes shorter than this, but still, that's almost 30 minutes. Like, that's not a short match. But they never once did I feel like they were just stalling for time, or were they not capable of moving things forward in that match. So I really, really enjoyed that one. And I think that's a tough comparison, but I do think it's worth making because Despy was in both of them. But one thing I will say, and then we're going to talk about the junior tournament because they announced the participants on Genesis. But when Despy won this belt, and obviously it sucks because of the injury that happened in the match. But even if he had just won it normally, I had no real interest in this title reign, to be honest with you, when he got it. It's like we've been here many, many times with him as the junior champion. But I like that they're adding a different flavor with having all these hardcore matches and stipulations and stuff attached to it to at least keep things freshened up a little bit. And I'm sure that he loves doing it, of course. But I just like that they're doing something a little bit different with this belt to make it kind of a hardcore gimmick title belt. And I think that at least gives this reign some purpose, which I really didn't think it would have. If it was just Despy doing regular matches, I probably wouldn't be that into that, even if they're good. Here, not only are you getting good matches, but you're getting different ones. So I like that. I do like how they're handling this title reign going into the tournament.
Yeah, let's look at the field now that you just mentioned it. So, of course, we have El Desperado in the tournament. By the way, I kind of like the comic logo style that they are using for this.
Me too.
Well, something different. Just we'll see how far that goes, or if that's just artwork. So Desperado, Master Wato, Hiromu Takahashi, Kushida, Ryosuke Taguchi, Yo, Kevin Knight, Ninja Mac, Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, Taiji Shimori, Bushi, Francesco Akira, Clark Connors, Sho, Yoshinobu Konemaru, Dragon Dia is back. There will be a CMLL participant, and Mao was announced from DDT, which got a great reaction from the crowd because he was actually in the first match of that Korakuen show that we just talked about. And from AEW, Nick Wayne. So basically we have two AEW participants with Kevin Knight also being in there. And who do you think it's going to be from CMLL? Who could it be? I mean, it could be anyone, but do we have someone in mind?
Yes, that statement is accurate. It could be anybody.
It could be anybody.
My hope would be either Neon or Futuro.
I was also going to name Neon.
Yeah, Futuro is another great young wrestler. They actually had a tag team early on, but they kind of split them up because they wanted to move Neon up a little bit further. I think one of those guys coming in would be dazzling for the tournament. Obviously, if you could get like a Mascara Dorada, that would be would really flip things on its head and be a great participant. I like that. I mean, I guess it technically could still be him, but I hope that it's somebody different and not just Titan again. Even though I loved his tournament and stuff, it gives you somebody different here.
Yeah, it should be someone different. It could also be Templario. Because they had this video of him challenging for the junior heavyweight title after the main event on the Junior Genesis show. But wouldn't they just announce him if they had already played a video?
But that's the weird part about this. Why did they just announce who it was at the start?
I don't know. Maybe CMLL hasn't decided yet. Who knows?
That's entirely possible.
Yes.
If you're not familiar with CMLL, and particularly their wrestlers, their luchadors, going to Japan is a really big deal to CMLL wrestlers. Like, it's always presented as like a great thing.
There's always a battle between the roster who gets to go to Japan for Fantastica Mania.
Yeah, and the producers and all of that stuff of the company. It's always like a huge thing to get to go to Japan, and particularly to be in a tournament. That's usually reserved for people they consider the top people. Overall, like You know, I mean, in the past, I mean,
Mystico goes, and Templario now has apparently the chance to go, but all the top guys usually go. Ultimo Guerrero goes all the time. All these top guys,
and especially usually, in the tournament.
Yeah, usually there are like one or two younger guys that are also in, but mostly it's the big stars.
Or people they have designs for to be a big star.
Yes.
You know, because like Sombra came into the G1 in like 2011, like 2010, 2011. Rush was in there around there, like that same era. I remember Angel de Oro came over like 2013 or 14 when he's still younger. You know, so sometimes they'll bring in guys like that if they have like a Templario now would kind of be in that role, like somebody they envision to be one of the top players in the future. So he would be great. Other than that, though, I think the true MVP of the announcements clearly is the champion himself, standing on business early on when he messaged Nick Wayne saying, "Will you bring your mom along? Like, is your mom coming?"
That's a big draw for the rest of the group, you know.
Hey, listen, Despy's been there and done that. He has different goals for this tournament, Strigga. He wants to meet Mama Wayne.
Sure.
I'm going in there. I said this on when I reviewed this Sakura Genesis on the Patreon, patreon.com/Eastern Lariat, of course. And I mentioned this. Nick Wayne and his current gimmick is like in true AEW fashion. This man has been a part of a cult-like group with a man obsessed with being his dad the last year. And because he's turning on him and because they need Edge to have a partner, him turning on this like fake father figure, an abusive father figure, will turn Christian babyface in all likelihood to see Christian and Cope tag team up against FDR in the future. So we'll see how Nick Wayne carries that storyline over. But I think he's a great person to come in, actually. Very young.
Yes.
Stylistically fits in. Has somewhat of a name. I mean, he's not a big star or anything like that, but he has a name. And I think similar to Yuta a few years ago, like he's the exact kind of guy they should send over for this tournament, in my opinion. Especially the best of the Super Juniors should be that stomping ground for a guy on the come up, like a young guy who hasn't had his name. Like you don't need to send a main guy over for this. Send one of the younger guys coming in. And, you know, I think he'll benefit from wrestling all of these different styles of guys because, you know, at AEW, it's always kind of like a time crunch. There's a million different guys on the roster. And I mean, it's a strength. It's a testament to the strength of the talent they have that there are so many guys, but not all of those mouths get fed a lot of times in AEW. Guys can just disappear for months on end and might not be having the chance to have spotlight matches, but here he'll have a chance. Daya, it's great that he came back. Maybe he'll win a match this go around.
Maybe.
You know, that'll be pretty cool. But interesting further storyline development with these.
A man can dream, Dylan.
That's our true dream, just to have win one match.
Yeah.
More importantly, though, I hope they give him some time. Because that was my big problem with him last year.
Yeah.
But he was always like the opening matches. Yeah, put him in a major match. I would like to see that. Interesting to see how that'll affect any DG storylines going on right now.
I mean, we talked about it last time when we talked about the Champion Carnival. I mean, Madoka Kikuta is also out there with All Japan Pro Wrestling, but like I said, I'm looking at the Gaora website for Dragon Gate right now for the schedule. Kikuta is also doing shows for Dragon Gate while being in the Champion Carnival, so that should also work out for Daya. Or the best of the Super Junior starts after Dead or Alive. Maybe that's a chance for him to be written off for a couple of weeks.
He's just going to leave. Kakuta's going to come back looking for a revenge, and he's just going to be gone. I want to turn on. Yeah, like I want to turn on you, but I can't because we're never here at the same time.
Yes.
And Mao, I thought, like you said, got a good reaction. I think it was totally predictable when they announced him having that match in the first place. Like, oh, he's just magically on this New Japan show right before the
Ooh.
Like, I wonder what's going to happen with that. And he's out of the DDT tournament as well, obviously. That's another sign that he was probably going to be doing this instead. I know a lot of people like him in New Japan. Like there's gonna be people. It's not like Daya. Like Daya didn't really have anyone advocating for him. Like when he came in, but with Mao, he's got people that will vouch for him and try and get him spotlight moments and wins and stuff like that. So I expect him to have more success than Daya personally.
Yeah, I guess so too.
Even though I personally like Daya like a ton as a wrestler, it's going to be hard to see him. I guess it depends on the blocks. You know, you can't really make predictions until you see how the blocks play out. And,
right.
Like, whatever they have. I guess when you just, pie in the sky, looking at these names, do you have any thoughts on this field this year? Because it's largely the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Wow, and Nick Wayne. Like, pretty much.
I mean, we've talked about it. Similar to the G1 in a lot of years. I just don't have any use for the typical guys that always do the same stuff, like Taguchi, like Yo, like Sho, like Kanemaru. They always tend to have the same matches. Bushi is also one of them. I mean, they just don't. These guys never win anything, so it's practically just you don't have to watch these matches practically, and that's just I don't think that's good for a tournament being so bloated with guys that that are not winning anyways. Yeah. And even if you look at guys like Francesco Akira, I mean, he could be a available contender this year.
He was my dark horse pick on the preview.
Exactly. I could see him making it far in the tournament. But there are also guys like Robbie Eagles that we always say, and like you said, he's one of the best guys they have, but he doesn't ever make it anywhere close to the finals. So it probably will also be coming down to those guys that they always pick for these spots. Like Takashi was out last year earlier than most people projected. Master Wato always an option after the one 2 years ago. Kosei Fujita could also be an option.
Yeah, I think so too.
So that are the guys that I would call out.
Yeah, I said the same thing as you about Hiromu. Like, you could never write off Despy and Hiromu in this tournament. And Akira was kind of the guy I thought might be a guy stepping up with TJ gone now. Kind of gone. Like, he worked on the American show. But working as a freelancer, allegedly now, I think Akira could be in line for that. Fujita, I think, will be the long-term play for the junior division being the main guy. I don't think it's his year yet. I would be fine with Wato. I thought Wato and Doki had an amazing match last year, like for the junior title if they wanted, upon his return. And I think he's great. Like, he does more for me than Yo, who they've also had in a similar position to Wato a lot of times in the past. I would definitely prefer Wato over Yo, but yeah, I mean, the tournament itself is not actually that interesting to me. Like, because I said, even the main guys, like I said, Desperado's a wonderful wrestler, but do I want to see him wrestle these guys like and have this series of like this grind of matches against people we've seen a million times? Like, and I don't know. And other than that, I thought they had a really cool story with Kushida that they kind of dropped the ball on last year. Like, they started off really strong and they didn't want to commit to it, and it just fizzled out. But overall, like, you look at this tournament, who is like, because in the G1 you always point to the people that have the big matches, the epic matches, the great matches, 5 stars, blah blah blah.
That's the issue.
Who is that in this tournament? It's like, who are these people that are truly great in ring and can carry a tournament like this? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we are past the point that guys like Hiromu or Kushida would be those guys. I mean, they're still good to great wrestlers on various days, but I mean, their time is about to run out in a couple of years too.
Yeah, and Hiromu's run, I haven't been impressed with Hiromu for a long time now, to be honest with you. I think he's really dropped as a wrestler. So we'll see what happens. I think losing Doki is a loss for the tournament in that sense as well. I thought he was one of the best ones, like, for most of the last couple of years, and I think losing him hurts. If they put these guys like Diane Mao and Nick Wayne and whoever's from CMLL, they at least will be motivated to deliver something great. Like, they're going to get
Francisco Akira. He will be very motivated to show that he deserves that spot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of his as well. So I'll love to see what he does.
But the thing about it is that there's restraints to that. They have time limitations. There's lots of matches. There's only so much you can do with 8 or 9 minutes on a weekday show in wherever they are, Takamatsu, Yokohama, wherever they are.
And that's another problem with especially New Japan tournaments. But I'm sure we'll get there with All Japan eventually as well, and all the others.
Yeah.
When you're in these small venues, you're not getting max effort a lot of times. I'm with you though. I think a great idea would be just cut some of these guys out, like make it a 16-person tournament instead of a 20.
Yeah.
But they don't want to do that. They don't want to hurt feelings, and politically they don't want anybody to feel like they got dicked over. Like, I mean, there's no reason for Bushi to be in this tournament, like at all. Like, in terms of like a win, Kanemaru the same. It's like these guys will never win. Like, there's no chance of that. And they don't even add anything in terms of fan support or wrestling style. So why? There's 4 guys at least you could cut from this tournament and be fine. And I think that would help give these matches a little bit more time, so you won't end up with a dire situation like last year where, like you said, every match is 5 to 8 minutes. There's only so much you can get from it. So we'll see. So my hype level is not very strong for this, but I think the outsider picks were all good. Like, I would vouch for all of them, depending on who the CMLL person is, but we can presume it'll be somebody really good. So I'm into that, and I'm into that part. Those are the guys I personally will be the most excited to see.
Compared to your hype level going in and what ended up happening on Sakura Genesis, Dylan, how did you like the show overall?
I would say my hype level overall pretty much matched the end result, which was I wasn't that hyped for it. The only thing I will say about this show, I think the main event was a fantastic match in general, but even that I don't think was as good as Goto and Zack. So, but that was really the only match that was really special to me. Like, and I thought Takeshita and Oiwa was a lot. It was a very good match. Don't get me wrong. It was very good. Definitely the second match on the show. But then you compare it to that Oleg match. It's like, man, like that match, like that was like, this is a freaking amazing match. And this match was like, oh, that was really good.
The difference between Oleg and Roy Oiwa clearly is Oleg knows the company is behind him.
Yeah.
And he has that confidence that guy has when he knows the company is behind him. And Oiwa in the last couple of months has seen that the company is not behind him. And that's where he's lacking right now. I mean, he's wrestling, and like you said, the match itself, when you look at the match itself, what they did was a good match. But you just see that the Roy Oiwa that came back from his Noah excursion and that was ready to conquer New Japan Pro Wrestling, he's not there. That's not the same guy anymore.
Yeah.
And that's just unfortunate.
And it made it a disappointing match, in my opinion, because I thought this was going to be his chance to really bounce back overall. And Takeshita's phenomenal. I mean, we're going to talk about an amazing performance he had coming up.
Yeah, but what would we say, quickly jumping in there, what was a better main event, in your opinion? This one or Takeshita Tanahashi?
Oh, Takeshita Tanahashi.
Agreed.
Yeah, well, I think it's like that's an easy choice to me. But I mean, the Goto and Finley match was really great, though. Like, I thought that I really liked that they worked this match in a way where, like, because we had seen, I had heard, I didn't see this, but somebody had told me the day before the show that Finley and Goto had equal crowd reaction on one of the Road 2 shows, but not on this show. like this crowd was all for Goto, and that's how it should have been. The problem is it's a little weird because the War Dogs are baby faces, pretty much, like feuding with House of Torture at the moment. They did the thing with Finley and Umino at the end of the Cup where he showed respect to Shota. But I loved the way they built this match around this being a Goto revenge story from their match in October. I thought this was a better match than that match. I will say that. And that was a very good match, don't get me wrong. But I remember at the time thinking the match the month before against Yoshihashi was a better version of what they were trying to do with Goto. And here I thought this really reached that next level, like this next gear that the October match didn't have. And I think it was all built around, so much was made around Finley, mocking his children in October. Like, this is a totally realistic story to tell with this heroic, honorable champion fighting for his kids, and I thought they did a very good job with that.
That's authentic. That's an authentic thing that we want in pro wrestling. We want pro wrestling to feel real, even though we know that the stories are fabricated. But if they touch reality, those are the best storylines.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I thought the ending stretch was really good. I mean, this wasn't just a win for Goto. And I remember us talking about this heading into this match, and I said, if Goto wins this match, him going to the Dome with his belt is not out of the question.
Exactly. And we're here now in April, and when this title reign began in February, I don't think that a lot of people would have thought that Goto is still champion here in April.
No, but the way this match played out, it was a definitive win. Like three straight GTRs. It was not like, it was an evenly fought match. It's like Goto overwhelmed Finlay. And I mean, we'll talk more about what they did with him after that I may not have loved, how they're handling Finlay at the moment. But I thought it was a really well done story. Another nice number. Like, this is the biggest show they did in April since, I think, 2018 for their April pay-per-view with 6,640 fans. It's like a narrow margin over last year, but, this shows Goto continues. Yeah. And this is a point I made. I really think this was not the original plan. Like, I think Finlay was going to win the title until we had so much evidence that showed you cannot turn away from Goto at this point.
Something to underline that, Dylan. I looked at recent title runs, and I want to make the comparison to the last one that I feel was actually a real world title run in New Japan Pro Wrestling, which was Sanada's run. Yeah, which lasted 271 days. And in that time span, he had 6 title matches. Of course, the one he won and lost the title, and in between that, 4 defenses. So 4 defenses in 271 days as champion. Goto is, we're recording this on April 12th. He's champion for 60 days now, and he already has 4 defenses under his name. That tells me exactly what you just said.
That's exactly what I thought too.
Exactly. That's the exact title reign design for someone that at some point of this was supposed to lose the title, and they wanted to pack some of the defenses into that run. They didn't want to have him a V0 guy with 0 defenses in his reign. So they used Tanahashi and Nagata, 2 guys that he can easily beat at this point of their careers.
Yep.
But then there was Finlay. There was the roadblock Finlay that we figured, man, Finlay, he could be the one to take it off him, but they did not do that. Then there was the roadblock Shota Umino that we always think, okay, the company wants him to succeed. Don't do something stupid. And they did not do something stupid, but I guess there was discussion in the room, I would say, to get the title to Shota Umino. But in the end, Goto won that match as well. So we are now heading into a phase of the year, into a period of the year where Goto has to have, I'm thinking, 3 more defenses until the G1 climax. 2 of them in Japan for Dontaku and for in
Dominion.
June, Dominion, exactly, and the one that they set up for Resurgence in May, just 1 week after Dontaku, which is a weird schedule to begin with, but that's where we are. So 3 more defenses until the G1, Dylan. Do you think he can hold the title until then?
Plus a Forbidden Door defense as well.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. So 4 defenses. Mm-hmm.
I got news for you people.
How about Forbidden Door is after the G1?
It's after the G1? Usually to June.
Yeah, but it's in the UK this year.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that at all.
Let's see. Forbidden. I think it's at the end of August. Yes, August 24 actually.
Wow, I had no idea about that overall. But okay, so yeah, that would be after then. Okay. I got news for you, and another thing that makes me think this was a big change. Again, I 100% think Finlay was meant to win this title. But a big clue that I thought Goto was going to win the main event was what happened in the tag title match. Because Goto and Naito is the biggest match this company can make right now, and that's going to be the Dominion main event, in my opinion. And they've got the titles off of Naito. I think that title reign was going to go much longer. Newman and Cobb is a mismatched team that should not be champions, but they had to get the belts off of Naito and Hiromu. And it's unfortunate that it ended up this way. They tried to create this story with Cobb going to WWE or whatever and make interest that way. But as soon as they won those tag belts, I thought Goto might win because that's like their biggest drawing match they could do. And there's not a lot of time left. A lot of people would probably say Naito shouldn't even be in that match, just with his physical performance. But ultimately, money will talk. Those are two names from the past. And I think we're going to get that out of the way. They probably wouldn't. And I mean, I hate saying this, but it wouldn't 100% shock me if Naito doesn't get that belt back. Dominion.
Yeah. A funny story about that tag title match, Dylan. I never watched it actually. I came home late on that Saturday. I started watching the show early in the morning, and then I had to go to 2 weddings actually.
Yeah, you did. Yes,
right. And came home late. Had barbecue with a friend as well, and wanted to watch the show. And I somehow skipped over the tag title match without noticing, actually.
Oh, shucks.
I noticed on Monday, and then I said, okay, before recording with Dylan, I'm going to watch this match. And every single day from then on, I forgot to watch the match, and I never did, actually. So for me, Dylan, Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito are still IWGP Tag Team Champions. That match never happened.
Well, I mean, it was fine. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything you have to rush out to see. I'll say that. But back to the point of Goto, that's going to be his real test, like his Dominion. Like, because I think whoever wins that, it's going to lead to the Dome. Because I think ultimately, whatever happens in G1, whoever they decide to go with will win the G1 and get the belt at the Dome. And he has to beat one of those two, like Goto or Naito.
Unless they also they once again make this decision to cash.
They should not do that. Like they should not do that. It was a bad idea. Like,
it was a bad idea.
Year.
I know.
And then, like, you know, they tried, and it sucked. Like, so like that to me is not even a factor. Maybe they will do it that way, but I just think you're wasting so much if you do that. And I mean, I guess you could do that then. I mean, there's no reason you couldn't do it then. Like, if you wanted to have, maybe they have some kind of multi-pronged story they want to tell with all of these musketeers and young people they don't want to get behind fully hanging around. And they can have one guy lose, and then, you know, the G1 winner can lose, and then the real person they want to put the belt on can win at the Dome. But that should be the end game of this. Whoever wins this belt should be the top star of the company going forward. Like, the young face of the company, not Goto. I mean, as much as I love him, he's not young anymore. He's in his late 40s. But he's also their biggest star and, like, one of their best workers.
And one of their best draws.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's like their biggest star at this point.
So he's checking all boxes right now for the company.
And I think it's deservingly so. That was my argument for him heading into the show when we previewed it, is that, like, there's nobody else that can really match him on that level at the moment.
So you touched on Finlay already. He's lost.
It definitely won't be him.
2 big singles matches in a row. I was surprised he lost the one to Zack Sabre Jr., especially after Zack Sabre barely played a role in the last couple of weeks in New Japan. So Finlay, after winning the New Japan Cup, is on somewhat of a downward spiral. He now has this dog pound cage match with the House of Torture coming up, which could set up more turmoil between the Bullet Club War Dogs and the House of Torture. Of course, Sanada turned to the House of Torture. That dude, man.
Ridiculous.
I mean, the ridiculous turn was the turn to the War Dogs, because nobody actually bought that as an actual addition to that group, and everybody, I guess, was dumbfounded by them just adding Sanada out of blue, but they probably needed a replacement for Jake Lee.
Yeah, exactly.
Who, by the way, what is he doing? Is he still injured, or is he?
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
Okay? Sure. Why not?
Yeah. So that happened, and Finlay is now occupied with that storyline for the coming weeks and months. I do think he will play a big role in the G1, though. I'm looking at these losses that he took right now. I mean, he beat Zack in the New Japan Cup. He lost to him now. It could be that they square them off again in the G1 Climax for Finlay to go 2-1 against Sabre this year. And I could also see them having Finlay beat Goto in the tournament just to get him to a bigger position anymore. Because that's kind of what they tend to do with guys that have losses early in the year. They pick up the win in the G1 Climax then.
I just think, that's true what you're saying. But with him, and that was another reason why I really wanted Goto to win this. I like Finlay a lot. I have no problem with him as champion. If he stays and doesn't sign with an American company, I think his day will come. And I think he deserves it performance-wise. I mean, again, I thought he was a very good heel in this match, and in a weird situation where he's kind of been turning baby faces since this and feuding with House of Torture. But he had to be the heel in this match, and I thought he did fine, more than fine. He did very good, actually. My problem with him, though, and this is why, because I remember you mentioned that he was on this hot run, and I really disagreed with that. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is like what you're saying works, except for him. The problem is that that's how it's always been with Finlay. It's one step forward, 2 steps back all the time. Right. Like that's why he's never been able to get over the hump that he should have been and deserves to be. And it's unfortunate for him, but I think that he's just a guy, like he's really slotted in this weird place Dylan, now. And
but is it a Finlay issue or is it a New Japan issue? Because
it's a New Japan issue.
When I'm looking up and down the card, we've just talked about Roy Oiwa. You can also
he didn't even get any good. He didn't even take a step forward. It's all been steps back.
You can also point to guys like Sanada when he was champion. I mean, there was a step forward to him, but after that, it was more than 2 steps back for him. I mean, can you imagine that this guy held the title for almost a year? That this dude was champion for almost a year.
That was another argument I had for Goto. It's like, this is not just a Sonata problem. They've wasted time with bad title reigns over and over and over. So why would we go away from one that's actually working? Yeah. And he was one of the biggest, because they gave him a chance. Like he wasn't back and forth. They pushed him so strong in that title reign, and he just wasn't it. Like that's the problem with him, is that he didn't have what it takes, and that's why he's doing what he's doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, there we are, and that's been an issue with New Japan for a long, long time, that they don't put everything behind the guys that they have in plain sight.
But they did behind Sonata. Again, he just is the problem. The people they point to are the people. It's like Umino. He's getting all these chances.
Yes.
Nobody likes him because he's not very good. like that's the problem. Like, let's just, we got to stop beating around the bush with him and come up with all these ideas. He's not good enough. Like, that's all there is.
I just put it plain and simple on Twitter today when I watched the match with Hiroki Goto. He had a mid-match with Hiroki Goto, who has had great title matches throughout his title run, and Shota Umino had a mid-title match with him. He is just not the guy that New Japan thinks he can be. He's just not. And
I thought his match with Tanahashi was actually pretty good. I will say I thought that was like the best match on the show, probably.
The second best match on the show?
No, the third best. The second best was Takeshita.
Third best. Yeah. I agree with that, but it's actually by default, because when I'm
that's the problem. The show wasn't very good.
Matches that's Tsuji and Evil, that wasn't very good. Omura and Sanada was an okay opening match. I liked it for Omura.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
That was pretty good. The highlight of the Shota Umino and Tanahashi match clearly was Tanahashi's entrance.
Yes, Fatal Fury once again. I brought this up. I loved it on there. I know Scott loved this. He commented on the Patreon about this, that I called that out. And I'm all about 90s video game references. SNK lives once again. But the show itself. What do you think of the?
Yeah. For Umino, by the way, quickly for Umino. I said it also. When you compare the Konosuke Takeshita and Hiroshi Tanahashi match to Goto and Umino, Goto and Umino also did one fall kickouts, one count kickouts in their match with some lariats and stuff. And that's what you said about the Gabe and Ishii match as well.
Yeah.
They did stuff in that match. They did certainly do moves in that match. But the crowd didn't react to those in any kind of way that it would be something special. But when Tanahashi did the kick out at 1 in the match with Takeshita, the crowd, that uproar was amazing. The people that were sitting in their seats for the majority of this show was it Chicago?
Yeah,
Chicago, I think it was. It was for the most part not a loud, hot crowd.
No, yeah, I was going to say that. Like, the crowd as a whole was not good, I would say.
But for that particular moment in that Takeshita and Tanahashi match, the crowd really, really did their part. And that's where the difference lies. With guys like Shota Umino, he gets booed. But there's really no further reaction to him than that, or the crowd just sits there and looks at him. With a true star like Tanahashi, or with Goto also, the crowd reacts to those people. But when Shota Umino is with them, there's this deafening silence from the crowd that just is not a sign of improvement. And
I also don't think this storyline is going very well.
No, it's not.
Okay, let's talk about what happened. Again, you're jumping ahead of the Windy City.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about the Sakura Genesis here.
Yeah.
With him and what led to this. So they're doing the storyline. We talked about it. We liked the start of it. Like, we both highly approved of that and thought they did a great job.
Yes.
Since then, he had his tournament run, which wasn't that great until the end. The final match, the crowd started to kind of get behind him a little bit with Finlay, because I again credit Finlay a lot with that. But still, I think the crowd really got into it. They accomplished what they wanted to. They had the handshake deal, was really good. So now on this show, on Sakura Genesis, he comes out, his hair's starting to grow back in. I don't know if you noticed this, he's got a little bit more pink and blue in his gear. Like, he's starting to get that back a little bit. And then after the Tanahashi match, he walked out through the crowd and started high-fiving the fans again. Mm-hmm. So the way they played this gimmick was not as a result of a big change, but more so he's like trying to earn his old self back. But the problem is that the old self was not that popular. That he's trying to earn back. I really think he would have been better off. And when he came out at the end of the show, another good touch. I didn't mention about Goto and Finlay. I loved at the end when Finlay reached out to Goto, it was like almost a mirror image of Shota reaching out to him a month before. Like, Finlay's trying to get his respect in his own way too. And I love that storyline. Even though he was presented as the heel in this match, he kind of reiterated that they're a babyface group at the moment. But then when Umino came out, he got booed again. And he almost walked away. Goto was like, no, come back. Yeah. And it's just like, what are they trying to accomplish with this? I wonder.
They are trying to accomplish that the crowd sees that all these veterans, except Shota Umino, as a dude, as a guy, and expect the crowd to respect him because Tanahashi and Goto respect him.
Yeah. Well, that hasn't worked. I hope that I did say there's a chance for this to be turned around if this is the breaking point for him, like his latest world title loss. That was bad booking on top of it. Like, he just lost the New Japan Cup final. Why is he next in line to get a title shot? like he lost.
That was really stupid booking.
Yeah, and also, like, another one of these, they did the same crap last year with Moxley. Like, you have this big match at Sakura Genesis, and then a few days later have another title match. Why? Why do you have to book things in that way? They really should have thought this out a lot more. And I don't think their booking is doing him any favors, to be perfectly honest. But he's also not that good as well, to kind of reiterate where I said earlier. But I think that's the problem. Like, a lot of these guys we think highly of just aren't there. Even Oiwa and Uemura.
It's not that Shota Umino is a bad wrestler.
No.
He's just not the material for what he's portrayed as. And that's why the crowd is reacting like they're reacting.
Well,
what you gonna do? I mean,
yeah,
I don't see them giving up on him.
Yeah, and it's not like anybody.
What has to happen? What has to happen that the company gives up on Shota Umino?
And to be fair, it's not like anybody else is taking this torch either.
No,
kind of what I'm pointing at. Like, these other guys aren't that good either. Is the problem? Like Oiwa and Uemura, they're where they're at, and they're good workers.
I've said it a couple of times before, and you don't agree. I know that, but when I see Uemura with a guy like Tanahashi, they've had their matches with one another. The acceptance that Tanahashi throws at Uemura is much more appreciated by the crowd than the acceptance that he gives to Shota Umino. So while Uemura is not in the position that Umino is in,
yeah,
I think he might be the closest.
What about Tsuji?
Oh, dude, I actually think that he has lost a lot in the last couple of months.
I thought I was going to say
heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I was going to make that same point.
I don't see that energy that he had last year right now.
Who can blame him with what he's been doing? Like, to be fair, we have to hope that he can get it back soon, because
yeah. I mean, it also was by design, Dylan.
Yeah.
And I think that he has a fair chance of winning the G1 this year.
Me too.
Especially because right now he is so much on the back burner, and it was by design that we just don't talk about him right now a lot, because he was out in the cup so early and had this program with Evil going on. It's just a program to get through this time period right now. But with the G1 coming in the summer, I think he'll get his mojo back.
Well said. I agree with that, to be honest. But what do you think? Finally, but before I get into the Chicago show real quick, what did you think of the TV title match, Phantasmo and Okan? All that needs to be said.
I thought about it too today when I watched the Phantasmo match on the US show.
Yeah.
I just don't have any emotional attachment to Phantasmo. It's the symptoms, the same symptoms as with others here on this roster. It's not that Phantasmo does anything wrong, but he's not doing a lot of things right either. It's just, I mean, he's okay. Everything is okay with him, but I'm just not into that guy, and it's just not. I guess I see that he has fans, and I see that he's getting some reactions from the crowd as well. I see that, but I just don't. I have no emotional attachment to him. Great Okan, on the other hand, I mean, I like the guy, but the pairing overall was not well done. The finish was very poorly designed. I don't know why. I don't know why Great Okan can't just flat out beat Phantasmo. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, really great vote of confidence. Winning a belt by count out. Yeah. I think I feel the same about you as Phantasmo. Like, he's a fine wrestler, and he tries really hard, and he has a great story, and I was totally cool with him winning this title.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's not like anything grabbed my heart throughout this whole title reign overall. Okan, I have a negative reaction to for the most part. I don't think that he's very good at all. Like, ultimately, like, we saw it, and it's weird because he had that decent run in the G1 this year. It felt like they were trying to do something with him, and then he just did his title match bombed, and it feels like he's never gotten anything back from that. And maybe he'll have another good G1 run this year, but I don't see any upside in him as a character whatsoever. Like, at the moment.
Nope.
But it's a TV title, so can we really complain that much? Ultimately?
No, that's fine.
What about War Dogs and House of Torture overall? Going into this dog pound cage match.
Yeah.
Zanata turns, like you said, a ridiculous turn that he had earlier.
Zanata turns. I can see more turns actually.
Oh no. Because to me, that feels like that should be the blow off of this, like War Dogs and House of Torture thing. Like one of these groups have got to go. Like,
Yeah,
and I think
that should be it should actually be the stipulation. And House of Torture has been going since 2021.
Yep.
Their stables usually last longer than that.
Yeah. Well, another thing that's interesting, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but it's worth mentioning in this context. Hantai absorbed more groups with just 4 guys coming
exactly.
now.
Yes.
So they've basically written off every faction other than these 2 and LIJ.
And TMDK. TMDK is
and TMDK.
around for some matches.
Are they? Like, where were they these last 2 months?
Yeah, I mean, Hartley was there with Eagles and Kosei Fujita for the junior tag title match.
Okay, good point.
He was at least there. Yeah, so House of Torture and Bullet Club Waters. Since they've also turned Zanada not out of the blue, but still in a fashion that I don't really comprehend, actually.
Yeah, it's totally ridiculous.
There could be someone turning against Dave Finlay.
And they've kind of alluded to this in prior months, but they never actually went anywhere with it. But it's something that you can kind of pull back and be like, hey, Finlay said there was a mole in Bullet Club 5 months ago. Yeah. Now it's finally coming about.
Yeah, or it is House of Torture wins, and then Bullet Club War Dogs implode.
Yeah, and I think that's very possible. I think that they're setting up, and that's something I like about Hantai absorbing these groups, is I think they're setting up some new factions, at least one, coming out of that. Maybe Umino could lead a rogue type of group coming out of it if they want to do something like that. Mm-hmm. But they have a lot of guys on Hantai now, and I think there needs to be
a lot of guys.
Yeah, there needs to be somebody that splits off, and I think between these 2, you could see another shakeup. Both of those options you said are reasonable to me. I mean, for me, I would much rather House of Torture just blow up and go away.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that, actually.
And that's the problem. Like, I don't think they want that.
No.
But what you said, though, about there being more turns and this going on, I think feels like the most realistic, because I don't think they want to lose. I guess they could always start some new version of Bullet Club coming out of it. Like, so just keep that IP alive, but still break this version of the group up.
Bullet Club Platin. I was just going to say Bullet Club Gold, but that has been a thing in AEW, actually.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, but yes. In House of Torture, I just feel like you said, they don't want to do that. And I think that the match itself could be a gimmicky. I mean, the first one is a very controversial match. Yeah. But I personally loved it. Like, I thought it was great.
I loved it too.
Yeah. I know some people hated that match. I thought it was very boring. But I didn't. I thought it was great. I know that's kind of where that match falls. Like, you either love it or you hate it overall. And maybe they could recapture some of that here and maybe cut out some. I don't want to see these 2 go for an hour. Like the first one, I will admit that. The first one, I was okay with it for various reasons. But with this particular feud, I would say no to that. And maybe that could make the match better for some people overall. But I do think there's going to be a lot of gimmicks, a lot of turns going on. But it'll be the kind of hard-hitting, crazy brawl that you would expect. And I like the idea, too. And this is another reason why I think that Bullet Club might win. I think this being their signature match actually really helps all of them. Like Finlay and Kid, everybody. If they could have a big moment like that, and this being like, you have a match now that you can go to at any time. And that helps the group as well. So we'll see. I'm not really into the feud because it's House of Torture, but at least they're playing it out.
Yeah, and what I like about it is that it's not like a patterned show that they do this match at, but they just will do it if the time is right. And now the time feels right with these 2 groups that once were under one roof but are not anymore. So it feels like the perfect moment to do that. And I kind of expect that to happen at around Dontaku. We'll see about that.
Yeah, that could be a main event match. Like, I think
it could also be a main event for the other show that is on April 29.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to get a big match for the show there in Saga on April 29, like I said. One more thing about Sakura Genesis. Yuya Uemura challenged Yoratsuji for the global title, which is going to be a good program.
Yeah.
Call back to the G1 Climax last year. Tsuji was the last opponent for Uemura when he got injured. So that's good storytelling there. Should be a good match for Dontaku as well.
Yeah, I'm into it. I think maybe these two, this is going to start to get their grooves going heading into the G1.
Yeah.
And I think they both need it. So I hope that they can deliver a great match. And I think they're capable of it for sure. So it's a good program, good idea. And hopefully it works out for both of them. I expect Tsuji to retain, but I mean, I wouldn't completely write off Uemura winning.
Yeah, could be fine. Would be fine either way.
Yeah.
So, Wind Trust Arena, 4,674 fans for Windy City Ride 2025. It's weird that they are going to be back in 1 month already for the next show. Like I said before, I loved the Konosuke Takeshita and Hiroshi Tanahashi match. It was built on Tanahashi's disdain for DDT almost 10 years ago in 2015. They kind of told the story that this led to DDT being isolated from the other companies, which isn't true at all, but it's okay, I guess, for a storyline. It definitely helped for Takeshita to say that he was set back and couldn't work the bigger companies anymore because nobody wanted to work with DDT after Tanahashi threw them under the bus. And I know that there was legit heat between the companies, and it may have played a role for how DDT was looked at and treated.
They squashed that really fast because
exactly.
the Tanahashi.
They definitely weren't isolated. That part is not true at all.
No, and even from them, like the Tanahashi and Hiroshima thing is very well known. That was a train wreck. That didn't go very well with anybody. Yeah. But literally a few months later, they did a tag match with like Ken Oka and Yo.
Ken Oka was there, yeah.
So most importantly, Ken Oka was there. But Tanahashi kind of apologized then. And that was like a couple.
And they cut that out. And they just had Tanahashi. And I said what I said.
Okay, sure, Tanahashi.
So that was the storyline, and they did callbacks, of course, to that, with Takeshita using the Zomato in the match, which got a call out from Vader Scott in commentary, by the way. I thought that her and Walker did a good job here on this show.
Yeah, normally I'm not a big fan of hers at all as a commentator, but I thought her and Walker, they actually worked pretty well together. I thought she did a pretty decent job on this show.
Yes, I thought so. So Takeshita and Tanahashi was a great main event. A big win for Takeshita in the end, shaking hands with a fallen Tanahashi. And he apparently is going to face El Fantasma next for the Never title because he, on the way out, confronted El Fantasma. That was far and away on this show the best match. Other than that, like I said, like we said before, the Goto and Shota Umino match was fine. Zack Sabre and David Finlay had a fairly good match, I would say. There was nothing in this match that particularly stood out to me, except for Zack Sabre doing 2 Zack drivers to defeat Finlay.
The crowd wasn't into that at all.
Oh.
And despite their respective pushes, I mean, I always think of Zack as somebody very popular in the West, but for whatever reason, this match just did not get over.
No, not at all.
Yeah. But I thought it was pretty good, the match, though. I thought the wrestling was okay. Not anything wrong with it.
Yeah. The same actually for the match between Mina Shirakawa and Azumi. It was a decent match. They didn't do anything particularly outstanding. It was just a very regular Stardom match. It could have been on a small town show, actually.
Yeah, I didn't like the finish, and I don't know why they're doing another triple threat for the title. Like,
clearly,
why?
Because we don't want to beat Mina.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Yeah.
Azumi's there.
That's her role to take the fall.
That's her role. Yeah. Some other matches: tag title match for the strong title, world class wrecking crew. I like them. Jorel Nelson and Royce Isaacs against Kushida and Kevin Knight was good enough. I liked the heel work that Isaacs and Nelson did in this match to set up the finish over Kushida. That was good. I like that.
I thought the crowd was kind of into the Jet Setters here.
Yeah,
that was one of the bigger reactions. Yeah, on the show. Yeah, good match. Nothing wrong with that.
By the way, said that it's going to be his last best of the Super Junior because he wants to go heavyweight in New Japan Pro Wrestling and participate in the G1 Climax next time. That'd be good.
I think. I mean, he's on a good track right now with AEW.
Yes,
they've quickly integrated him very well, lining him with Ospreay. I thought was really smart. So yeah, he's got a good future ahead of him. Always been a big fan of the Jet.
He's good. Someone who also wanted to move up to heavyweight was in the opener of this show with TJP going over Tom Lawler. That was not a good match, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's too bad because I have a ton of respect for TJ as an in-ring wrestler.
And for Tom Lawler as well.
Yeah, that Filthy Tom is not a bad worker, but for some reason it just did not come together. Yeah.
In the actual first match of the show, we had Zane J beating CJ Tino in a strong Survivor match. Zane J later said after the match that he wants to go to Japan now and wrestle in Japan. He has been training in Japan, wants to wrestle in Japan. This was a nothing match in my opinion. Zane J was good. CJ Tino I didn't like actually. I don't have anything particularly good to say about him. So the show, I don't know, it was rough. And then there is the strong openweight title match, Dylan.
Yeah.
So this match was set up to be a 30-minute Iron Man match because the last time they faced, they had a draw in a 30-minute match.
Would you guess what happened in the second round?
Would you guess what happened in the second go around? They had a draw after 30 minutes. Why are we doing this? I mean, this is so stupid.
I was pretty shocked at the finish, though, to be fair. Like, why? Like, why is... I mean, I love Ishii, but why? I thought you wanted to push Gabe Kidd.
I am guessing they want to push Gabe Kidd, but the strong openweight title is just not a title that they consider being a thing that is pushed.
You are right about that. I guess it doesn't really matter. Like overall. I mean, most of their titles, like every other one of their titles,
especially in Japan, it doesn't matter that he lost this title in the US now.
Yeah, all right, all right, I guess.
So as for the match, these two have a very, very patterned way to go about their matches, and to be quite fair, at some point it bored me.
Yeah, me too.
Because they had 35 minutes, almost 35 minutes time, and there was a lot of brawling, there was a lot of chopping, there was a lot of lariats, there was a lot of getting up at one, there was a lot of big moves attempts and big moves done. What I want to say is the actual falls, they were done very well. The first one with the Dr. Bomb, then Tomohiro Ishii beating him in, was it the triangle choke or was it, I think it was, right?
It may have been.
May have been the triangle choke. I don't have it in front of me, but it could have been the triangle choke. Definitely a good finish. And in the overtime, he flat out beat him then with a vertical drop brainbuster that he kicked out at one earlier in the match.
Yes.
So there's lots of flaws in this match, and that's kind of been the thing with Gabe Kidd. He has a lot of good tools, but with his character and with his in-ring, there tend to be lots of patterns that he actually uses and that sometimes don't work out for him. And that's where I go back to the authenticity. He is a very authentic guy, but he tends to overact in a lot of ways, which you have called out numerous times on this show as well. And this overacting that he does, that totally hurts the authenticity that he brings as a performer. Just be Gabe Kidd and not an over the top whatever you think you have to be. And that's what I didn't like about this match, and that's why I didn't like it anywhere as close as to what the cage match users have it as 7.38. To me, it was more a 5 out of 10 match.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say there was no good parts to this match, because there were. Like you said, the finishing stretches were very good in the actual falls. I've said my piece on Kidd a lot, in the past. I think people are starting to come around to that, though. I saw a lot of negative reactions.
Yeah, me too.
On Twitter. It's something I've been kind of on from the start, and I think there's a really great wrestler. Like, there's a skeleton of a great wrestler in Gabe Kidd. I always say, like, it's there, but then there's this other stuff that he puts in that is just a real drag. And, you kind of made a good point about the authenticity, because he comes across like the fakest tough guy in wrestling right now to me. And I mean, that could be a great character. Like, don't get me wrong, if they wanted to go that route. But they also have suddenly tried to, like, somewhere along the line, he became the true spirit of the Lion Mark in New Japan at the same time. And I don't think that works nearly as well for him, ultimately. Like, you got that once with, like, Chris Charlton going crazy on commentary for him and the surrounding area with Omega. But just overall, yeah, I mean, the match was aggressively fine. 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 is fine, I would say. And, like I said, there was good stuff in there, but it's just like they would go on and on doing the same stuff over and over. It just didn't work for me that much. But it was good enough. Like, it was fine. But the problem is it's not fine when it's like a 35-minute match as well. And the finish is like, why? Why did we go back to the same thing that you did before with the tag? The time limit draw, excuse me. So, yeah, very weird.
Very weird. Yeah, what's next, Dylan, actually? What do we have?
I have no idea.
No idea either.
I mean, it's a strong title. Who cares? My kid, I mean,
who's actually challenging at Dontaku for the world title? Yeah,
they haven't said yet. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting but ultimately a good decision that Goto and that Tanahashi and Takeshita was the main event instead of Goto and Umino. Yeah. I thought that match was so damn great. Like, that Takeshita and Tanahashi match, like that was something really special. Like, one of the better matches of the year, like, to me. Like, I think in general, like anywhere. And I thought that they did a phenomenal job. Tanahashi continues to go out in style and prove his detractors wrong, as he always does. Even me, I was starting to fall off of his bandwagon, but then you see a match like this and you're like, man, this motherfucker is an amazing wrestler to this day. like he still is. Like, he's still one of their best workers. Like, and like I made before, judge him for his big matches. Like, don't judge him from his openers with Makabe. Every time he's put in a big spot, he's delivered huge. Like, and I think that that's true. He got one of the best Evil matches we've ever seen at the Dome. He had a really strong match with Goto, which I really enjoyed. And this match was a great match I think anybody would enjoy. And a lot of that's obviously with Takeshita, who was an amazing part of the match, as he always is. But Tanahashi just continues to move along and prove why he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time to me. And I just thought that they melded together so well. The story stuff was very good, too. Like you said, even though, like you kind of said, if you know the actual story, there were some holes in that for sure. But fine. It's wrestling, whatever. Overall, it wasn't that logical when you know the story, but it's fine. Just their wrestling, I thought Tanahashi really was able to work in a way that he met Takeshita in his own way. He didn't meet Takeshita at 2015 Tanahashi level, but he met him in the best possible way he could for 2025. And I thought that they did a great job. And if I ran this company, if I ran New Japan, immediately after watching this show, I probably would have had this plan anyway already before this, but especially after watching this show, seeing where we're at, Umino's not really working. None of the guys are really working at that level yet. Maybe they will. Again, all of these guys have plenty of time. But I would say, Takeshita, I will make you the highest paid man in this company, and I will give you the world title at the Tokyo Dome if you sign with us and will be with us for the next year. Yeah. I would have him win the G1 and base the entire company around him, because I think there's more upside with him than any of these other ones.
Absolutely. There is.
I mean, and like I said, he might be obsessed with being loyal to DDT and AEW, and he wants to have all these contracts. Maybe that's something he wants. But I think if they made a real push for him and was like, all right, no more screwing around. Like, you are the ace of the company. Like, for the next 5 years, you are going to be our main event.
He would want that, actually, I guess.
I think he would. I think he could be swayed if he doesn't actively want it. And obviously, you could say, look, man, it's not like you'll never wrestle these places again, but we need you to wear the lion mark now. You have to be our guy. And I think if they did that, I think the dynamic of this company's future changes dramatically.
Yeah.
Like if you, because the other options are, we're saying, oh, maybe Tsuji or Nomura or Umino can make that next step. Whatever step they're going to try to make, he's already 5 steps ahead of that, like right now, and would only grow in star power if he was given a true main event spotlight in New Japan. So I do hope that he is a part of their plans. And we know that they are. I mean, they got him under contract, even in this 3-way contract nonsense right now. So we know that they value him. It's just, will they have the balls, and will he want to take on take the weight of being an ace of a major company like New Japan on his shoulders in Japan? And by that, I mean leaving the other companies, making them take a back seat for a while. Will he want to do that? And if those things are true, he should win this G1 this year and be the next. He should be the one to beat Goto, in my opinion.
It'll be excellent.
It's just a lot of politics and stuff that make it in the way. But to me, he was the best wrestler on either of these shows, like pretty strongly.
Yeah, by far.
And Tanahashi might have been second best. To be honest, the way that he wrestled. I thought that Umino match was.
I mean, Goto was pretty good as well.
Goto was great in his match, and I thought he had a great story as well in his match that he did. But I thought this match really outshined that Goto and Finlay, 2 guys that I love a lot. And Goto's my all-time favorite New Japan guy. But I just think that this match showed, like, this was a next level match. I wouldn't put this above Goto and Zack, though. I will say that. Like, I wouldn't make that leap, but it was up there as one of the best matches of the year. Top 5 match anywhere of the year for me.
Yeah. I added it to my list immediately. Yes, so I guess that's New Japan Pro Wrestling. We don't have any cards to talk about yet because, like I said, we're recording on Saturday. So, Dylan, with which promotion do we want to continue from here?
Talk about All Japan.
Let's talk about All Japan Pro Wrestling. We are 2 days into the Champion Carnival right now. Hideki Suzuki picked up 2 victories with 4 points, same as Yuma Anzai and Mike Di Vecchio in Block B. Other than that, in Block A, Jun Saito, David Boy Smith, Zion, Kento Miyahara all have 2 points. In Block B, it's Ryukyu Honda, Madoka Kikuta, and Yuma Aoyagi with 2 points, and all other wrestlers still at 0. They opened in Korakuen Hall this past Wednesday with a show that drew a little bit above 1,100 fans. It had a tremendous main event between Kento Miyahara and Hideki Suzuki. I mean, the way that Hideki Suzuki is working this tournament, I love everything about his matches. I said it on Twitter. I love the way that he uses these strikes to the body to set up his finishing stretch, where he just makes guys corpse in the corner. He did it so perfectly with Kento Miyahara. He did it perfectly with Shota Umino as well in this match today, where he used an elbow to the sternum as a counter to Ashino running at him, which was just amazing. He just stood there and held his elbow against his sternum, which was great. It was a 7 or an 8 minute match, but it was very good, very well worked. So Hideki, at this point, 2 shows into the Champion Carnival, is definitely the best guy in my opinion. The other matches on this show on the first night of the Champion Carnival, I liked Kengo Mashimo and Jun Saito in the semi-main event. I like that they are using this shining kick, or this. It's not a shining kick; it's just a kick to the face. Actually, that Jun Saito does against his opponent. I like it as a finish. Actually, there's a lot of steam behind a big guy like Jun Saito. And of course, it makes a lot of sense that he has this as a finisher, because the originator of this finishing move, of the Bakatara sliding kick, is part of the Saito brothers. No?
Yeah.
So, makes a lot of sense. Davey Boy Smith and Takashi Yoshida had an atrocious match, I thought. There's nothing to say about, positive to say about that, actually. Madoka Kikuta and Yuma Aoyagi, Dylan, lots of comedy spots. What did you think about that?
Yeah, a lot to unpack here that you brought in here. The Hideki match to me was a wonderful match for sure. I think Hideki's great. I agreed with everything you said. Hideki and Kento, that was like a 4-star plus match, 8 out of 10 level. Very good way to go off to start the tournament. I also thought I agree with your thoughts on Saito and Kengo as well. I thought that was actually a step of. I think it's a little underrated by the inmates. I thought this was a step above his title matches that he's had so far. To be honest with you.
Yeah, agree.
Also agree with you about the dying light, his sliding kick variation. I love the name. I don't know if it fits him that much, but sure. Like I said, but it's still a great move though. Like the move itself fits him. I just don't know about the name overall. But it's cool. I love it, and he's doing some good things there. Kengo's great, as you said. Davey and Yoshida, if you don't have anything nice to say, it might just be best to not say anything. Kikuta and Yuma, it's like, okay, this was good, but it could be great. But for some reason, Aoyagi chooses to be how he is for some reason. And yes, I get it. And I knew this was going to happen. I think we all kind of had a feeling. The guy with the hip attacks, of course, Aoyagi is going to mock that.
Aoyagi, he saw that he has to face Kikuta, and he immediately thought,
he loved
yes, ass.
And we knew it was going to happen. And again, once they got to the wrestling, it was really good, I thought. But there was also
this other... good showing for Kikuta, I thought. Good first match for him.
Yeah, I agree with that. And again, it was good. I just personally know these guys could have a great match, and that didn't happen. Instead, we got a good match.
But not in this position, actually. Not in this position. If they had been second from the top, this would have been a different match, I think.
They gave him time. It was in a short match.
30 minutes. I mean, yes, but just the positioning on the card.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Overall, but it was good. I'll say, I'm not going to bury it or anything like that. There was some stuff I think they could have come in. It's not like, I will say this too. It could have been a lot worse in terms of comedy, where he just went all throughout it, and that didn't happen. This was a good match just with comedic elements instead of a pure comedy match, like somebody called it. Somebody who didn't like this match on the inmates, which, I mean, I'm not hating on that review either, but to me, I think there was enough good in it that I didn't hate it. And I actually liked it overall.
Yeah. So we had 3 other matches. Honda in the opener beat Rei Saito, which left me wondering why they did the finish like they did, because Saito, for whatever reason, kicked out of the final vent, and then Honda finished him with a lariat. That was weird.
Yeah.
Yuma Anzai has 2 quick matches to his name until this point. The one with Aigle Blanc was pretty good today. This one was a very short one with Hokuto Mori. But
he has like 1 minute match or something.
It's good that they do matches like this in the tournament very early to set up that matches can actually end in a heartbeat. And it's good that a show like this has different types of matches with different structures, and this was definitely one of them. Mike D and Aigle Blanc, they had their match. They went in very motivated. And they were really, really happy to be there, delivered their usual stuff that they usually do in these situations. Nothing. I was fearing the worst, that they might go out of their way to do something really spectacular. And with these two, especially with Mike D, there is always the option that he screws up enormously.
Yeah, yes.
He can be very good, but Mike D always has this. I always have this fear that this guy is killing himself. Actually, that's always there. So for that, there was a very safe match and good-looking shooting star. Even though he totally killed Aguilar with his knees.
Yes,
that looked so horrible. So not such a good shooting star, if I think about it. Yeah, it was a fine opening day. Dylan, it struck me as a red flag that they didn't put Zion in a singles match in Korakuen.
Oh, well, we saw that at night 2 when he brought to the table and why that was. I would say.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the match on night 2 that he had with Kumarashi was not good.
And he nearly dropped him and injured him horribly.
Yeah, he dropped him on his neck with a powerbomb.
Yes.
That looked awful. And they set up his finish on the first night when he pinned Shotaro Ashino with his, they call it the Zion Spear, but in reality it's just a running shoulder block actually. It looks good. It looks kind of good. But in the match with Arashi kicked out of that finish and then Zion used the powerbomb. Why? It's the second night.
Yeah, I know. The same thing that's deal in the first with Honda, Saito kicking out of the final event. Why? What'd you do that for? Yeah, the Agle Blanc and Mike D match. Thing with Mike D, I kind of I don't put that much thought into his matches. Like, they're all spot fest, and that's all I expect them to be.
Dylan, that's the way to go with Mike D matches.
Yeah, exactly.
You just enjoy them for what they are. Just enjoy the ride.
Exactly. I mean, there's some bad stuff in there, but also it's kind of what I expect. Like, what you said is exactly accurate with him. And so I don't have his matches to any standard, like high standard. But also I know that he tries hard, and the crowd liked him. I will say in that first match, I did agree with one of the comments on Cage Match about it being, it kind of dragging a little bit. Because like these guys are really one-dimensional at the end of the day. Like even at 10 minutes, it's like, how much can we do this for? Like stuff is gonna look sloppy and it's kind of bad overall. But like I said, because they're just so like I don't have that much expectations for them, I don't get upset with it or anything like that. Zion and Arashi, yeah, that match sucked. Zion, like he's what you said is, again, you were right again about this Zion Spear looking good. He in general looks good. Like when he walks in, he looks like a guy. Like if you don't know him, he looks like, okay, this guy is someone of note. I mean, the thing is though, he's just so green as a wrestler.
I was just gonna say, then he gets in the ring and you see this look falling apart.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's nothing beyond that he has, and it's just. I mean, maybe he'll improve by the end of the tournament. But because again, he's very green. He hasn't had that many matches in the last 2 years. This is like I mean, they kind of warmed him up with these multi-man matches, kind of protected him the best they could. But I definitely think that he has a lot to improve. And Kumarashi's not exactly Kobashi. Let's just be real about that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't good. Like that match, like it stuck.
They try with different people they bring in from around the world. Last year they had Lord Crew. That didn't work out either. He has never been back.
Yeah, I thought he did okay, but he did okay. That was like a look first. That seems to be what they go for with these champion cards.
Yeah, and that's so weird, right? That they don't use them on tours before that. They just jump right in there with these guys and have them in the biggest tournament. And then they never bring him back. I don't know. And it's always so weird that, of course, they have to establish these guys somehow. And there is always someone from the main roster that has to held their head for them to be pinned by them to establish these guys for the fans. And that's really unfortunate. They could go other ways. They had this Ryan Davidson guy. He wasn't in the tournament, but I think he was in the tag league with Cyrus, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Davidson was his name. He was never brought back. Oh, was he brought back? No, he was never brought back.
No, I don't think he was. Yeah.
No. They try with multiple people, but it would be better if they actually had guys around for a majority of the time. And it's unfortunate that Cyrus had to had to cancel the German Carnival, he is one of those guys that actually are around. The crowd is aware of them. They know what to expect from them. You don't have to establish them from scratch within the time frame of the tournament like that. So if I was All Japan, I would try to get these people to be around more, if possible. Yeah, so there we are.
And we don't know what's in their hearts either. Like, they also have to make an extra effort too. And I mean, nothing against Zion personally. Again, I mean, he did do that like God's eye, Gonzo bomb type of deal, I guess. A little bit with the Gonzo bomb there, but it was like it just looked dangerous when he did it. But maybe he's just a big fan of like All Japan in the '90s, and he was trying to do a Kawada tribute. But if somebody loves it, like truly, like is a fan of Japanese wrestling, and it's something they want to do, and maybe is a goal of theirs, I think that will also go a long way. And I think that helped like Crew last year, where you could tell that it really meant something, or even Mike D, where that passion is there.
These guys. Yeah.
And like with him, that's yet to be seen.
Yeah, and for Mike D, I think they will bring him back because, like you said, the crowd loves him to a degree already.
Yeah,
and they really, I think they really cherish that he did the Real World Tag League last year injured.
Yep, that's true.
I think that's a big plus for him. So he'll be back if he wants to be back. If he doesn't suddenly sign with WWE out of the blue, he'll be back with All Japan.
Yeah, and I think so too.
So we're now 2 days into this tournament. It's been fine so far. The outstanding match has been Hideki Suzuki and Kento Miyahara. Kengo Mashima and Jun Saito was very good. I have not actually seen the two main matches from today's show.
Oh, well, I was about to say, because I thought the main event from this show was like as good as the first, like almost. So.
I mean, it's Kento and Kengo, so I'm not surprised actually.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. Like those are three of the best guys, if not the three best guys in the tournament. So yes, of course they're going to have the great matches with each other. But I thought Kengo did a great job here once again. He's really like he's really fitting in. Like he hasn't, like he's just been here all along, kind of. Like he feels like a totally believable All Japan main eventer. Even though he lost both of his matches, I think the way he wrestled is so strong, and I think he really brings the best out of Kento, who, like, he kind of drags Kento out of his usual formula that we kind of talked about with him and June in their match, which we didn't really love that much. I think Kengo really knows how to get the best out of someone like a Kento, who's great in his own right, but can be formulaic overall. Mike Diakakuda.
I wish, just for Kengo Mashima, man, I wish this guy had been an All Japan regular for the past 10 years.
Yeah,
Could
me
have
too.
been so great. It's just, for whatever reason, that has not happened. I don't know, man. This guy would have been so great as a regular in this company.
It's the hold that 2AW has over its wrestlers. You can never leave if you are a part of there. Mike Diakakuda, again, I turn your brain off. It's fine. They are pushing Mike D too. That's another thing to look at here. They gave him another win over Kakuta.
Yep.
Will be interesting how that plays out. Anzai Blanc was acceptable. I wouldn't say great. Blanc still has some work to do to win me over. Like I would say. But it wasn't that special. Hideki and Ashino, man, I think this could have been a phenomenal. Like if this was in the main event match, it would be great. Instead,
it was on its way. Yeah. It was on its way to be really spectacular.
Yeah, exactly. Then they cut it off like 8 minutes. It's like, what is this? Like these guys were bred to have great matches. Like these guys could be like cornerstones, and it's clear they don't see that in National right now.
I was just gonna say I have bad news for you coming out of this match actually.
Yeah, like they could be if they saw that, but still though, what we got was good. It could have been excellent, and maybe even the best match of the tournament if it had gotten 2 or 3 times more time. And Aoyagi and Ayabe, very much a match to kind of get Aoyagi right. Ayabe, he didn't win me over, let's just say, and even more so than Aguilar Blanc. But I think it was just a very fine match. I would say, which is better than most IMA matches. To be fair, though, his best match was against Aoyagi for the Triple Crown last year.
I wonder.
This was not nearly as good as that.
I wonder what his issue is. Why is he not improving at this point?
I really think it's in his heart. Like, I think that this was not his dream
to be a wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just filling in a role that's how he wrestles a lot. Like, that's been my biggest problem with him. He never commits to anything. He never wants to hurt people. Like, that's his problem.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, he works so soft all the time. It's like, I get it. It's nothing against him personally. But
I don't hurt people.
Yeah,
I don't hurt people.
What kind of gimmick is that for a for a giant guy? Like, I don't want to hurt anybody.
The anti-hurt business.
Yeah. Well, he'd be a better member than MJF, at least.
Yeah, he'd be a good bodyguard, actually.
Yeah, and that is really his ideal role, I feel like. Put him in a suit and some shades and have him stand around and look. Like, this guy's big. Like, that's what he should do.
But he has a total baby face. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, you're right as well. That's another thing. He's just too nice of a guy, I think.
Yeah, he's a very nice dude.
Yeah, we need you to wreck shop, IMA. Like, please hit people hard.
Someone has to get him real mad. I don't know. Steal his stuff backstage. Rib him.
Oh no. No, I don't want to make this man mad.
Oh, he might get sad, actually. I don't know.
We can't have that.
No.
Yes.
But something has to happen. Someone has to ignite the flame within Ren Ayabe.
I agree with that, and I hope that we can get there.
Bring back Shuji Ishikawa and have him kick him in the face.
That would be a good start. But like I said, I thought his title match with Aoyagi last year showed that he's not a completely lost cause. But that's really it, though. Like, ever since then, he feels like a lost cause. Since then, is the problem. Like, if we could just get him in a major match and, but again, we'll see what happens. He's still relatively young too. It's not like he's a veteran of the business. Maybe he could change in some way. And if he does, maybe this will all pay off. But as of right now, I'm kind of like not. I'm not buying his stocks. Let's put it that way. I'm selling my IMA stocks right now. if I had it.
If you had stocks, would you buy them back at one point?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No, I'm not seeing the evidence that he's going to deliver. I'm not like but I will say this about the tournament as a whole. 2 nights in, I think the main events were better by far than what we got on last year's version of the tournament. I think they both stepped up to make these shows feel important. And like we said, even the semi-main of the first show, or Ashino and Hideki, they were both very good in their own rights as well. So I feel like the tournament's off to a better start than it has been in recent years in general, I would say, because there's been a couple of champion carnivals that were kind of rough, to be honest. And I think this, at least for these first 2 shows, if we can count on one big main event match and then a very good undercard match, I think we can get through this as a good tournament overall.
We'll see how this continues, actually. On the topic, Dylan, before we go to Dragon Gate, on the topic of Shuji Ishikawa, I just mentioned him, I sat down to watch some matches, the opener and the main event, actually, of the Grappling Detectives show, the third one that Takuya Nomura and Fuminori Abe promoted. One Life to Live. And what a life to live it was for Satsuki Nagao in the opener against Shuji Ishikawa, because Ishikawa killed the guy. Numerous headbutts, repeated headbutts, and when the guy got up, he got another knee right to the upper body and was out there. This was a tremendous opener, 7.86 on KTdan. I thought it was much better than that. It was a great opener. Haven't had time to watch the mid-card matches yet, but I watched the main event. Fuminori Abe and Takuya Nomura defeated Hikaru Sato and Manabuhara. And my God, it is so good to see Manabuhara again. He is one of those unsung heroes of the 2000s indies, really. He's been around a long time. I'm just going through his career. Debuted in Battle Arts in 2001, actually.
Well, that I like him.
Yeah, exactly. One of the greatest guys from that era. And he showed it here in this match. And you know that Abe and Nomura, they are a big fan of Battle Arts, especially because all the matches were set under Battle Arts rules. And when you look at the logo that they use for their show, it's very reminiscent of the Battle Arts logo itself. Miyahara now is 43 years old, but he totally blends in perfectly with Abe and Nomura. Hikaru Sato did his part as well. There were numerous times in this match where Fuminori Abe tried to make fun of these guys, and both times he ended up deep in submissions. Yes. That always looked great how both Sato and Hara dragged him into deep waters like a kraken would. That looked amazing. Numerous times in this match, there were just brutal kicks to the back. Hara tried to kick Abe in the face. Great submission holds throughout. This was so entertaining for a 28-minute match. They also did comedy spots. For example, when Fuminori Abe, he posed while standing on Miyahara's head, and the crowd completely lost their shit. It was amazingly funny. Man, what a great combination of guys. What a great combination of styles. Sato always, of course, is a guy that you can also put in these comedy roles. Great main event, man, Dylan.
This is my show of the year so far, and I think it's the best. It's the best version of this that they've done. Like, to me, I'm up and down because, well, first of all, it's named after one of the greatest soap operas of all time and TV dramas in American history. One Life to Live, of course. Somewhere the spirit of Todd Manning is here. But secondly, you know, I haven't really been as enamored with these attempts at these shows as other people have. And I mean, I love them, of course. They're really great. And they're better than a lot of what we get now. But the thing is, when you're trying to do a Battle Arts tribute show, I'm holding you to Battle Arts standards. And what we got was good for this era and not nearly as good as what the actual Battle Arts was. This show felt like what Battle Arts would be if it lived like now. The first match was fantastic. I totally agree with you. Nagao is a guy that, you know, he's still got plenty of upside to him and great potential. It's just unfortunate that he's in Tochigi Pro right now. If he were in a bigger company or got more of a spot, he had a great match at the start of the year with Odashima and Noah when they did that. He was on that Limit Break show. He's kind of like a regular on their shows. So I hope that he could get an in into Noah, because I think he would be a great guy that they could potentially build around.
He would be great with either Noah or All Japan.
Yeah, it depends on whatever heat there is with Ishikawa and All Japan now. Still, if he wanted to lead him in that direction. But he deserves a bigger spotlight because he's a really great young wrestler. And Ishikawa, like you said, this was the best usage of him. Just let him beat the hell out of somebody.
I saw him live, actually, when I went to that show on January 1st. He was in the second match of the show, and it was one of the better matches of the show. He teamed with Fuminori Abe to face Hikaru Sato and Takuya Nomura in a very similar match to the style that we saw in this show, actually.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of great parts to him as well, overall. So, yeah, big stuff there, and I appreciated Ishikawa's
extremely well trained, actually. I want to find out who trained him, actually.
Yeah, that would be good to know as well. I mean, he was he started as a 0-1 guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could be something right there, 2020 level. So, the Takeda and Sato match was awesome, great match. Highly recommend that. I thought that was almost as good as the main event, if not even maybe even a little better. I thought it was a match of the year level. Both this and the main event to me were two of the best matches I thought of the year. Takeda just rocked Sato at one point, and he ended with a tribute to Alex Otsuka, one of my favorite Battle Arts guys, which was just great. Remember, Takeda was a Battle Arts guy at one point too, going way back in the day.
Yeah, he then also was with the promotion. What was the promotion's name? Jesus, the name escaping me right now. Just go on.
Yeah, no. Style E, maybe.
Style E, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Style E, right, yes.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll say like U Style, but that was before, so it had to be Style
Yeah.
E. Like U Style and Style E, both shoot promotions. The other one was Tamura's project, which is also a phenomenal promotion. But yeah, he was in that too, so he's got a great shoot background. Sato was phenomenal in this. The blood came into play here. It was freaking great. Loved that match. The tag match, I loved it so much. Although, you get to see Ishikawa, the man himself, here in this match. But really, I thought the one who stole the show was Tyson Maiguchi, his partner. When he was in there, I thought he was bringing the best out of like Super Tiger. And Super Tiger's a guy I've had a complicated relationship over the years. Like, obviously, like a Battle Arts original, trained by the original Tiger Mask, to be fair. And when he was in Battle Arts, I was like, yes, this is the dude. Like, Super Tiger, a Tiger guy who's a shoot stylist. I love him so much. And then when he tried to like branch out a little bit, he was in the Champion Carnival a couple of years. And I always thought, man, he really didn't have a great transition into the like not shoot style version of wrestling.
He doesn't have a good transition, no.
But here,
Tyson Maiguchi, I love the guy. The guy's tremendous.
And here, when he was in this scenario, Super Tiger was freaking great. Like, I thought he did an excellent job. Toba was very good. I thought, like I said, Ishikawa, like, added what he could. Obviously, he has to be in his 60s now.
He's 58.
Yeah, 58. So we're not getting him and Ikeda at their peak, or even him and Ikeda a few years ago when they were in WTF. He's on the downside. But when Maiguchi was in, the other two totally delivered, especially Super Tiger. I thought that was a great match. Well worth watching. The semi-main was Tamura and Brother Yashi. This might be one of the best Yashi matches that I can remember.
Sounds like a great show. I have to catch up with the matches.
Yeah, like that was a really strong match. Like, again, they didn't rewrite the book. Out of all the 5 matches, that was the one that stood up the least to me. But still, it was just good, solid, meat and potatoes wrestling. Like we have the shoot style, like amateur wrestling stuff. Occasionally you get some power. Yashi would be sneaky, but I thought they worked really hard together and had a fine match with each other. And like, for the worst match of the show, you'll definitely take that. And then the main event. I want to go back.
Before you go to the main event, Dylan, quickly. You know why this Satsuki Nagao guy is so great?
What?
He trained under Tatsuhito Takaiwa. And
there you go.
I think if you know that, you can see glimpses of that.
Yeah, I could. I totally believe that. I figured it would be somebody like him or Kanemoto or Otani, one of the New Japan great juniors of the past, when he trained. Takaiwa, wonderful wrestler and a fine trainer, clearly, with somebody like Nagao under his wings. The main event, I want to go back to our show we did so long ago when we covered Big Mouth Lao. We watched every show that was online for that. Go way back in the archives for that. And he was one of the standout guys in that promotion, even more than Shibata, who was jobbed out constantly for some reason. We complained about that. But Hara, man, I was like, man, this guy could still be a guy. And again, that was probably 8 years ago, and we were thinking, damn, like this guy's still only like 34, 35 years old. Like, why can't he be a star now? Even now, he's not that old, and he looked fantastic here. I thought him and Sato were just a wonderful team. I wish that they would bring Hara into All Japan and let these guys be tag champions or something and have a run, because I think they worked together so well. Everybody knows what the astronauts are all about. There still is a part of me that really, like, when you come into all of this, you want to see, like, I don't want to see crowd brawling in my battle arts here.
I have come to the point, Dylan, that I actively skip every time when the crowd brawl starts.
I think that's a really smart move, to be honest.
You'll save a minute or two for lots of matches in Japan, actually.
Yeah, and a lot of it's meaningless, ultimately. And it was meaningless in this match as well. Again, and you see, like, Abe, you are such a great wrestler, and I know that being a goofball is part of your thing, but give me, like, let this be real. like, fight, you motherfucker, fight. Like, that's what I want to see. Like, now, I don't need to see you doing comedy stuff, just like when he shoved the slam up his ass in the other show. That
He just,
really turned me off.
he just can't. He just.
I know. And the thing is, like, losing that would, like, make him better and make him, like, one of the absolute top tier workers. But then he wouldn't be Abe if he didn't have that stuff too. Like, so he kind of has to do his things his own way, even if not all of it lands with me. But it was a great match. Like it was a phenomenal match, one of the better ones of the year, like I said, so far. That match and the Takedan Sato match like really stood out strong to me, even with the flaws of the main event. And again, I'm holding this to Battle Art standards, but literally my favorite promotion of all time. That needs to be said for me personally. When you
stamp of approval right now.
When you wanted to send me something from your trip to Japan, what promotion did you go to?
Battle Arts, of course, man.
That's exactly right. I'm holding it in my hands right now. I love it so much. This magazine you sent, along with K-Dojo as well, which that's really where I got my start. But still, I may hold this to higher standards than some people and be a little harder on it, but it was still a fantastic match for me as well. So this whole show completely rocked. It really gathered the spirit of the old Battle Arts. Again, some stuff in the main event turned me off, and you know, you might want to criticize the tag match. Ishikawa's a little older now, but for me, all that stuff really worked. I thought the whole show was great. Highly recommend really all of them. Like, I mean, I think the Yashi and Tamura match wasn't great, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was good. And I thought, again, for the worst match of the show, that's a really high standard. So loved the show a lot. And really glad we got to talk about it a bit.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to check out these matches. Like I said, on the independent front, Heat Up had their Shaku Netsuo tournament ending, which basically translates to like burning heat, the king of the burning heat, right? Because it's Heat Up. The final of that tournament took place in the Shinyuri 21 hall. That's one of the arenas that Heat Up always uses for their shows. 235 fans, decent draw for an indie company like Heat Up. In the main event of that show and the final of that league, we had Akira Joe. We talked about him a bunch when we talked about IGF back in the day and their branch out promotion. New exciting wrestling was the name of that, actually. Yes,
new exciting wrestling.
Yeah, Akira Joe now these days, he is fairly an indie guy. He looks like an indie guy, but he's still a good wrestler. Did you see the show as well?
No, I haven't seen this, but I do know Akira Joe.
Yeah. So in the final of this tournament, in the main event of that show, he faced Daichi Sato, who is about to leave for DDT Pro Wrestling, and I liked the match. It was well done. Akira Joe was designed to be the dominant force and the veteran in this match against the upcoming rookie, and he dominantly beat him in the end. So for the guy that stays with Heat Up and wins the tournament, it was a good way to go out. And Daichi Sato put up a great fight, but was coming short in the end. So that was a good match. Other than that, I really liked the two other singles matches that were on the show. Tomoki Hatano and Hajime had a good match, but especially, Dylan, you have to watch that match actually. Ali Najima and Miyamoto. Second match on the show. Two guys going in with black trunks and fighting. I think you'll like that match.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Unfortunately, though, Yoji Otani was on this show, and Keito Muruta and Yoshi. Yoshi is the former dinosaur Takuma.
Yeah.
They are doing kind of they are ripping off, like they pretend to be Arabic guys.
This sounds awful.
It's really bad. It's really bad. So there's light in this promotion, and there is darkness in this promotion as well. Opener was nice, and Heat Up is a promotion, they have kids training. And if you have kids training, I don't know why Yoji Otani is around, but that's a different topic. They have kids training, and these kids are actually wrestling, and they have kids rules implemented. When a guy that is under 16 is in the ring, there's the rule that you can't drop them and you can't kick them in the head and punch them in the head. So in the opener of this show, Shin Suzuki, Shota, and Trans M. Hiroshi faced the team of White Moriyama, Shota Marlon Miwa, and Ren Sukegawa. And Ren Sukegawa, Dylan, he's just a boy. He's 11 years old. And he's just wrestling on this card here, which looked kind of goofy, but the finish was at least creative. Shota just beat him after a very mildly done giant swing, and he just got on top of him and just pinned him, which was something to behold. So overall, heat up, fun indie promotion, some stuff that just doesn't land or is outright cringy. But it was a free show on YouTube, so I watched that.
Yeah, best of luck. Everybody knows my history. My first match was when I was 13 years old. So I root for everybody to get into wrestling and, have fun, be safe, maybe even be a star one day if you're lucky enough. So good luck to him, and hopefully. It's something, we've seen it with other companies. DDT is a bigger company that's had that as well. And, Joshi has a long history of that. So hopefully, like I said, everybody can do some great things and live their dreams. I think that's what we all want as kids or even as adults.
Right. Before we go to our final big topic, it's Dragon Gate. Dylan, you wanted to talk about the build to the Stardom, Goddesses of Stardom tag title match at the upcoming big show.
Oh, yeah. So they announced a couple more matches for the Stardom show before we got there. And this build, particularly between Hanan and Hazuki, has been some of the absolute best. This might be the best storytelling in indie company right now that they've done, where they had this big, shoot promo, pretty much like a press conference where they had all of Stars set up, and there's a big rift in the group now that's they're a unit together, along with Mayu Watani, Kobuma, and Momokoko, and blah blah blah, Saida. So they had everybody there, and Hanan was just railing against Hazuki, and she went after her and was like, "Man, you were a piece of crap as a trainer. You injured people. You did bad stuff, and you ran away." And then you got removed. They don't let you train people anymore. And Hazuki was and Hanan was going on about there needs to be changes in the unit. If this group's going to keep continuing, it's got to change. And Hazuki was kind of going back at her and was like, "You keep going on and on about this, but what have you done to change things? Me and Koguma were the one that added stuff into this group that wasn't there before. What have you done?" So she went in there. Koguma broke down in tears during the press conference, and then Hazuki kind of calmed down. It was very realistic. Maybe it was real for all I know, but if it was not, it was very well acted. Hazuki kind of held back after that to kind of keep things together. Iwatani put this big long tweet out, and it was basically saying man, what's the point of me even giving advice anymore if nobody wants to listen to it? And she deleted it within a few days. Even a day, I think. And they had this build-up tag where Hanan just railed on Hazuki and were brawling with each other. This match could be the show stealer on what's looking like a great show. This could be a show of the year candidate the way things are going. Yeah. Between Hanan and Saida versus FWC. And particularly the Hanan and Hazuki heat is going to be really strong overall. I think, man, this build-up was great. It had everybody in the Joshi scene talking, and I thought that they built this matchup. This whole show is really coming together, really strongly together, with the Maika and Sihash Sendai Girls match that's also announced for the title, the Sendai Girls title. You've got everything going on we talked about before. This show looks like it could be something special, and I think that, and like I said, the press conference and all that stuff was excellent stuff.
I love this image of Sayaka Mitani giving the black roses to white-dressed Tam Nakano. That was such a beautiful image.
Yeah, that was great. That was another great piece of build-up for a main event that I definitely had my questions on how they've gotten to it. But first of all, because their first match was so great, even though the finish was dumb. And secondly, the good build they've had. They've been going at it back and forth on social media, and they've cut good promos on each other. And there's a funny back and forth where they were Tom was saying Tall Saya was saying to Tom, if you have to retire, you're not going to do anything. You're going to try and run the company and be a general manager, and you're going to run Stardom into the ground, and we're going to go out of business. And because you're so nuts, nobody's ever going to want to marry you. So you can't fit into society because you're not a normal person. So if you lose, your whole life will be over.
Hey, she's right. Tam Nakano is not a normal person. That is definitely true.
And then Tom fired back with she was going on about her, and she's basically saying she needs to worry about herself if she retires, because if she loses, she'll never be able to go back as an idol like she failed at before. Going on there, and she was saying all of this, and they basically all have built this up to everything. This match means everything to these two people, and they're going to go all out to ensure that they both win. Including at one point Tall Saya stealing some of Tom Nakano's desserts at one point where she got and forcing them into her mouth. So it was very great build up to these two. The whole show's got really good storyline build up, and I think it's a really hot promotion right now in terms of heading into their biggest show of the year. I think they built a lot of great matches exceptionally, and like I said, if all works out well, all of these matches could be bangers. Saya and Tom, we know what they could do, and this will be even better probably. Mayu and Shuri, who doesn't want to watch that? Azumi and Starlight, great long-term rivalry. Now they're going to be in a major match for the first time. Sihash and Maika, two hard-hitting girls. They're going to kick some ass. It's going to be great. Tag match, going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to see that match. This could be a star-making moment for Hanan potentially. And if not, it could be a great thing for FCC to get the titles back. And hell, this could all lead to future storylines with the unit breaking up potentially. What's going to happen with Mayu if she loses and Stars loses all throughout? Could that be the end of her in Stardom and Stars in general? So you've got a lot of questions that could spring from things. Great storylines up and down, great matches up and down. Very, very, and the last show we did, I was into what they had. They announced 3 good matches, but since this press conference happened, I think they've really stepped up big, and I think this show is really highly anticipated, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. Definitely one of those shows for the Yoshi scene that everybody has to look at. So yeah, that is Stardom. Great build to that show. We are going to a company here finally with DRAGONGATE, we're going to a company which is also heading into a big show, but where the storyline elements, in my opinion, aren't as strong as I usually expect DRAGONGATE to deliver at. They had a Korakuen Hall show this past Monday, officially drawing 1,367 fans. That gave some clues to what might happen in the future, but left others open, and also had some loopholes in their storytelling, actually. So what happened in the main event was Shun Skywalker, Kota Minura, and Daya Inferno beat the team of Madoka Kikuta, Dragon Daya, and Ryoya Tanaka when, in the end, Yuki Yoshioka interfered and accidentally hit Dragon Daya with a foreign object, which led to the pinfall from Inferno on Daya, I think it was. And Daya Inferno is just not a guy that came from D-Courage. It was just Ishin under the mask. And it's the second time now that they have done something similar. We talked about that on the preview to this show, that they have done something similar with Natural Vibes before, where there in the end was no guy from Natural Vibes under the mask. And that's a fine way to go, but you can only tell that story so often. I mean, it's twice now that Shun Skywalker has fooled the opposition with the exact same trick. And this trick will eventually grow old. You can't do that a third or fourth or fifth time. So there has to be something new from DRAGONGATE. This, though, has led to internal rivalries between D-Courage. In in this situation, it's now leading to a 6-way steel cage match, Mascara contra Caballera, in the main event for Dead or Alive. It's going to be a traditional Dead or Alive match. I didn't have that on my radar when we talked about it before, but it's the final Dead or Alive in the old Aichi Prefectural Gymnasium before it's demolished, actually. So they're going back to the original form for Dead or Alive. Shun Skywalker versus Kota Minoura versus Ishin versus Madoka Kikuta versus Yuki Yoshioka versus Dragon Daya. So there is lots of potential for turns in this match, Dylan. Right now, how do you think this all plays out?
One more thing on the starter show real quick. I forgot to mention it. There was a great match I'd highly recommend between Tom Nakano and Sariano. It took place last week, 2nd of April, actually.
Very good match.
Very, very much worth watching. And Tom, I will say in her comeback, I forgot to mention where she said that all men who date Kamatani will go to hell as well. That was the big final line for her. So I wanted to bring that up. I don't know if that's true or not. Like I said, going on there, I don't decide that who goes to hell or not. I don't think Kamatani dating her has any effect on that.
I don't know.
That's just what Tom Nakano said. Okay, I'm just telling you what that was translated to say. Maybe she didn't say that at all. Maybe it was a mistranslation. Have you ever thought about that? No. Maybe she was very nice to Kamatani. This whole thing is just a big misunderstanding, really. But no, highly recommend that match. Dragon Gate. I groaned at this, like with Ishin. It was just so goofy. Like, you know, like you had so many interesting potential storylines that could come out of it. And when he came walking out, it was so obvious. It's like you really could have done something like great with this. And instead, like to me, what's the conflict here with Kakuta and Decourage? Like now, like there's no way you could believe Yoshioka was this character. Like, why would anyone even bring that up as a point now? Like, what are they fighting over? Like now, like what is? I think
right now they are fighting over miscommunication, and very similar to Natural Vibes, there is just distrust right now.
But with Vibes,
even though they know that Dia Inferno is not the guy, the distrust comes from these guys suspecting one of them might be Dragon Dia Inferno.
Yeah.
And Ryoya Tanaka, he's fed up with all of them, and I'm looking at him turning to the dark side.
And that was my original thought, like of this whole like that would play up, and they've kind of given us misdirections and stuff like that. But I thought that was the best thing because I feel like he's kind of an odd man out right now. But still, the thing with Vibes is like Jay had a totally legit reason like to be upset, you know, with everything going on, because so much like Jackie was getting like pulled in all these directions and looked like he was about to turn, and they were losing a lot. Like they were not on their big run, and he felt like he could do better. And eventually he turned back in and it was okay. You know, they went to new heights and he went to new heights, but with this Decourage stuff, it just isn't very believable to me, to be honest. Like this whole thing, like now they should be united, in my opinion, not still fighting and feuding. And it just feels like something they need to have on for storyline purposes. It's something that's a realistic motivation for anybody. You know,
that's why I said the storytelling on this particular show really wasn't the best.
And it was so disappointing because they set it up to be something spectacular. And even the match coming out of it, I mean, listen, I fully expect that match to be great. The cage match with that involved. But I just thought there were so many ways they could go, and it feels like they're leaving some stuff on the table with this. And I mean, it depends on how it plays out, to be fair. I just was not in on this main event angle overall. And especially, you know, they had this served to them on a silver platter, practically. They did what I said was going to happen, and what we both said was going to happen, with Gianni dragging Yoshioka away and taking him out.
Yeah.
They had the semi-main went basically as great as it possibly could go, in my opinion. And you had this main event angle. Everyone's anticipating it. What's going to happen? And then you just come out with this. Like this is how it ends. Like the storyline stuff doesn't end, but this is how the build up to it ends.
Yeah.
Is this, and I just thought it was a real bummer, to be honest.
Agreed. And what also was a real bummer before we go to the actual main event for Dead or Alive, but we basically talked about it. I think that Tanaka is turning. Kota Minoura and Skywalker will turn against each other, and we'll get something new out of that.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think that's the logical way to go. I really liked your idea of Homari turning on Skywalker. Like, I thought that would have been like a total swerve, but that could be brilliant in the long term. It feels like they kind of just, and I mean, they never really alluded to that at all, to be fair, but I just thought it was such a great idea. What they're doing is kind of what more along the lines of what they've been building to. And then they have this other wrench with Tanaka potentially, turning on everybody, which I think is great. You can get it reunited. We'll see what we talked about it before. We'll see what the tournaments affect things with both Kakuta and then Daya going away. So Tanaka might have to wait to turn on these guys. He's like, I want to turn, but I can't because no one's here. Like going on there. But I agree with you. I think that's the most logical end game to that match is Tanaka interfering and costing somebody their hair.
Might still be Kikuta, but it's so obvious that it would be him. That could be a swerve too.
Yeah, so I would rather it not be, to be honest. Just for that exact reason. It's just like come on, you really got lazy to finish this off if that happened. Yeah,
what was a total bummer too was the entire deal around the Open the Bravegate Championship.
Yeah, I know.
So we had Yamato defeat Daiki Yanagiuchi in 13:45 in a match where Yanagiuchi actually, I don't know how to actually phrase it, but he overachieves. Yeah. He's a rookie guy, and he suddenly like kicks out left and right out of Yamato's big moves. Why?
Super Yanagiuchi here.
Yeah, so kicks out of the Galleria and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. And he then gets finished by a single leg crab hold where Mochizuki Senior throws in the towel for Yanagiuchi. So as a match, this was good, but nobody really believed in Yanagiuchi. There was no way that he could have won the match, so it was a fine deal. But what happened after the match, really, I completely groaned at that as well.
Yeah, totally agree.
Because Yamato declared the Open the Bravegate Championship vacant, and that's so. I said it on Twitter. He could have done that at any point in time. But now they just do that because they figured, we want to use that title. And this ends a potential great storyline.
Yep.
That could have ended in someone just bringing back the Bravegate and standing there as the hero to this company that brings back this championship that people really like. But now Yamato just stood there and said, okay, guys, if you want this title, you can have it. And if you want to make this as good as the Dreamgate, this is your role to fulfill and not mine. It's not going to happen. That's the first thing.
Yes.
With the tournament that's set up, that's not going to happen. And we could have really used Yamato in a role to elevate this championship to a degree. But that's not what we're getting. We're getting a tournament that ends a dead or alive. So that was really unfortunate and lazy storytelling, in my opinion.
Oh, totally agree. I agree with your kind of criticism of the match as well. Like, it wasn't... I think it was really effective how that played out. The crowd was really behind Daiki. They made it feel like a special moment for him. And, we kind of talked about this last time. To me, Yanagiuchi is kind of like the new generation super underdog, like Punch Tamanaka guy. Like, I don't see a main event role for him in the future, but I think if you have him in a major match like this once every few years, you could get huge returns. You could be that guy. Like, in Dragon Gate of all companies, that role is very viable to be a great part of the promotion. And they're one of the best at having a storyline where the lovable loser finally overcomes. Whether it's, Punch had a title run last year with the trios belts. Kanda had a very well-received tag title run that nobody would have dreamed of having. But having the ultimate loser guy is actually, in other companies it would be bad, but in Dragon Gate, that's a totally viable role, in my opinion. I think he could fulfill that very well. I agree with your criticism, though, that it's like we went from 0 to 100. This man has not won a single match in this company.
Kicks out of the main champion's finishing move.
Yeah, like what? Come on, like that's lazy. Like just what you said. And I'm sure some people are listening to us right now and thinking we're like, no, like guys, it was awesome. He kicked out of the Galleria. No, like it's not as awesome as it could have been if they built up to it effectively. Is what we're saying. Like that role can work with him getting this big moment, but they didn't build to it. They literally just said, oh, we're gonna have a match in a couple weeks, like for the Brave Gate. Like, it wasn't even a couple of weeks. I think it was like a week. Like, didn't that happen at the end of March? And he said that he would, yeah, like a 1 week build and you're kicking out of the Galleria. What? Why? Why did we have to do that? But still, I thought the match itself worked very well overall, even though I agree with your criticisms. And then their follow up to that, you're just gonna give it up, like no further storyline implications.
Give it up.
This match with Daiki was step one on a Brave Gate journey for Yamato that ends with, as you said, someone becoming a hero. The problem is that they booked themselves into like 3 different corners at the same time with how it's played out. They could have easily have done this literally the day after he beat Daya for this. And we all would have been like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I wouldn't have loved that, but at least I understood it. But instead, they purposely made a story where he said, I'm keeping this belt on ice until someone can take the Dream Gate from me. Okay, that's a storyline. Like, I mean, it sucks not having the title, and that's the problem. Then they realized, oh, crap, it's been 3 months and we don't have this Brave Gate on our shows. We need to do something. But, oh, wait, we can't beat Yamato. He's the strongest champion we have, and he's so well booked that we can't have him go under. And oh wait, Yamato's very popular as a babyface right now, leading Paradox, so we can't even have a hero beat him. And we don't want to have a cheap finish for him right now because we don't want him to lose. So now we did this one singular match, again, which could have been the start of a journey for this belt. And then you just give up. Like you just say, nope, we're done with this. Now somebody else can have the title, but they can't beat me for it. That's the one thing that cannot happen. We cannot let a main eventer hold this title. It has to be a second match on the card level title for some reason in 2025 Dragon Gate. I was totally flabbergasted by this move.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it at all, other than they just want this belt on the roster, but they don't trust anyone at this level to beat Yamato.
Yeah, because when you look at the tournament, there is nobody that is at Yamato's level. They have 8 guys in this tournament. It starts on April 13 with Rita versus Ryoya Tanaka. April 19 is Yuti versus Yosuke Santamaria. Also, April 13, Hio versus Ryo Fuda. And April 19, Jackie Kamai versus Homare. Yeah. Who's winning this?
If it's me,
Yuti, Homare.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, if it's me, Homare's getting this belt. Like I said. And that can lead to whatever it's going to lead to in the cage match. Like, you're going in there. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, UT, that would be like a gold watch kind of run.
Yeah.
I would have no problem with that. I just don't think... Where are you going to go with that? Like, if he wins the belt, do they have plans of really pushing UT and getting behind him, or is this just a gold watch?
They really screwed up with this belt in the last couple of years.
Yeah, they really did. Like, again, I always say it. When I started watching DG, the Brave Gate was like vital to the company, and now these last few years, it's like I said, it's not even mid card. It's like opening act level. It's like Like, it deserves better, man. Like this Brave Gate, they could do better. And it looked like they were going to set us up to where they would start doing better. With Yamato as the champion, okay, you've made it as a main event level deal. And then they just called it off. So, I mean, I guess if it was my personal feelings, like, I would have Rita win because I think he's the best wrestler of all these guys. Maybe Jackie, that could be like a big redemption story for him. But I really agree with what you said. They've kind of slotted the title by having it be like this, and I don't think it's really moving up on any of these 8. The only hope for it is if Homare wins and they weave that into the main event Z-Brat story. I think that's the best case scenario for any of this. Any of the other 7, all of those guys are very talented guys.
Yes.
It's nothing against them at all as wrestlers. And they could probably have great matches. But how can you have great matches when you have 7 or 8 minutes on the second match of a show? It's going to be tough. Jason Lee found that out in his Brave Gate reign, because that's what they did with him. And he's one of the best workers anywhere. I just don't know, man. Like, I don't get this at all. And whoever wins, they're going to have a lot of work to do to get them to the level that we want it to be and what it used to be.
On to more puzzling things in Dragon Gate. Third match on the show, Benkei, Rita, Mochizuki Jr., and Luis Mante and Hio defeated the Zebrats team of Kai, Jason Lee, Ishin, Yoshiki Kato, and Homare. And after the match, Benkei gets into the mic and says, "You know what Gold Class needs? It's Luis Mante and Hio."
No.
Luis Mante immediately goes to the mic and says, "Nope, I'm not joining," and leaves. Hio, though, is tempted to join Gold Class, but Natural Vibes comes out. And now they are having a match. It's called Hio versus Hio. It's happening the Korakuen Hall show after Dead or Alive on May 9. Benkei, Rita, Jackie Kama, and Mochizuki Jr. against Strong Machine J, KZ, UT, and Flamita. And Hio will join the winning unit. Okay.
A very similar storyline that we've seen done almost there on a yearly basis. I feel like
except for the build to all the prior ones was much better than this.
Yes, exactly. Yes, those were actually excellently built. And this one, it's just like, well, we haven't.
We're gonna do that.
Like, oh crap, Hio had to team with Jiro in the tag tournament. Oh hell no, we need to get this boy in a faction right now. Like, he needs to be in a unit, people. Monte, what was he thinking? Like, what have you been doing lately, Luis Monte? You also need a group if you don't want to get out of this purgatory you've been in. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hio, where do you see him fitting in better?
Not in Natural Vibes. I don't see him fitting Natural Vibes at all.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of anticipated that.
Gold Class could be the right faction for him, actually. Just
that could work, right? You know, he's got the look for it.
Yeah.
I really don't think much of him at all as a wrestler, to be honest. I think he's one of the worst guys on the roster, to be honest. And I think he's really struggled since this, I mean, Big Hug was what it was, and they've never.
He's struggled a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it could be a good reclamation project for his character. Because I think they're, like, as a character, he's got the look, can really be popular with a segment of the DG fans. But as a wrestler, I personally am so out on him that it's hard for me to really get engrossed in this. But of the two, I definitely agree with you. He fits Gold Class a lot better. Even though that's also a shame to me. Because I love the Gold Class as they are. I think they all fit so well together.
Right now, they do.
Yeah, they're like perfect. Even though I know it's small, like I know a lot of people think that's too small for a unit to just have 3, but
therefore,
you're right. Yeah, right. My bad on that. But yeah, Hio can come in. I think that's the better fit of the two. Long story short.
That's right. Yeah, so that concludes a not so great Dragon Gate Korakuen Hall show. I was so hyped for that, and I know in the end it was kind of underwhelming.
I thought the Brave Gate was a great match. Again, I agree with, we are on the same page on the criticisms, but I do think it worked overall. And again, if it had just been phase 1 of a greater story, I think we would have all looked about it very fondly. And it's DG, so this could be something where, hey, Yanaguchi, he might not win a match in the next year or two coming in there. And this is something they can call back upon, like, hey, he brought everything he had against the Dreamgate champion and a legend in the company, and he made him sweat. He kicked out of the Galleria. They can use that in the future. And it makes it feel like, I will say this too, this finish and how the match went it does make me feel like they have a plan for him. Like they made extra care to give him that.
They definitely do have a plan for him.
I still think he's better as a lovable
And
loser.
I want to say the entrance was really heartwarming as well. All the Korakuen Hall staff lining up there and applauding for him. So that was well done.
But that doesn't work outside of Korakuen, though. You know,
Yeah.
like they're a Kobe-based company. But that's the thing with him. That should be his role. Again, like every once in a while, like, you know, once every 2 years or so, you have a big show at Korakuen. He is who you turn to, and he will always have that stock because of the gimmick. And I think if they play their cards right, you could have a great guy like that. And who knows? But like I said, it seem like they may have bigger plans for him the way they booked this match out. Even again, if we don't think it was earned, they clearly wanted to emphasize that stuff. So we will see. I think his potential in this company is going to be very interesting because there's a lot of guys, there's a lot of guys on this roster that, and a lot of them don't get the push I think that they should have, but they also can't because there's so many guys.
It's kind of been the theme of the show, actually, with going back to New Japan, our first topic.
Well, and a lot of those guys just aren't very good. It's the difference. Like these DG guys have a ton of talent. Like they've got 20 guys that could be a main eventer if things broke out right. But it's just that there's only so many mouths to feed. And right now, there's just a lot of guys ahead of Yaniguchi right now. And I think Tanaka's in that similar role. And maybe they're going to try and break these guys out and give them a run at it in the future.
Yeah. We'll see about that, how that will all unfold at Dead or Alive, May 5, heading into Golden Week. Dylan, we're heading into one of the best stretches in Japanese pro wrestling overall in the year. And even though there was a lot of criticism today, we also pointed out what was good in recent weeks in Japanese pro wrestling. Really looking forward to continuing to watch the Champion Carnival, looking forward to finishing the Grappling Detective show. I also watched the T-Heart show. I really loved the Nori match, man. I would love to see her wrestle more.
Nori is a wonderful talent. I still, she of almost everybody in wrestling nowadays. It's so weird for me because I remember when she came in with the Date sisters in Aizaru, and to see her now, I mean, she's like a totally different person. I mean, it makes sense that was 8-9 years ago, but still, she was so great. Like a wonderful wrestler. And you got Manami Toyota's cousin or whatever there, or niece. In there. Yeah, her niece in the main event. So that's very cool.
Yep, that was very cool. Yeah, so lots of good stuff going on in Japanese pro wrestling. Pick and choose from what you like. This has been the Eastern Lariat. Thank you all for listening, and goodbye.
Sayonara.